Hey guys, and welcome to 1Warrior podcast. We've got a special show today here for you, as you can, I'm sure, see by the title, and this is the first show of this new year. So I think you guys can understand how excited I am for this newer podcast with the new mics. I have new mics now too. You guys probably should be noticing the better quality, but I don't know about you guys, but it was pretty good Christmas. Pretty eventful Christmas. I know I mentioned last week how my older sister got into a car wreck, and we went down there to take care of her, and that went on longer than I thought it would have, but we're back now, finally, from Christmas. My sister's doing a lot better, so I thank you guys for the prayers. I had some messages from you guys saying that you guys were praying for her, and I saw them post on Facebook, and I appreciate that. She's doing a lot better, so thank you guys for all that. Also, I want to remind you guys, Spotify now has a rating system now. You can click the stars. I believe it's stars. You can click the stars and give me a 4 or 5 stars or whatever you think I deserve. But I believe this is a 5-star podcast, if I don't say so myself. My book is still on sale, guys. Don't forget to go check that out. This sale is going to probably end in February. I extended it a lot longer than I wanted to, but I wanted to allow as many people to pick it up for only $20 as possible. When it's $20 like this, I'm making like $6 a book. So I'm not getting rich off this, but you guys can definitely get rich off knowledge because this book will take you to new levels in your training for the new year. Remember that there's a 90-day program in the back of the book too that can help you out through your training through this next year. If you're stuck in a rut, need something new to mix it up, I'm here for you. My book is here for you. Check it out, guys. I think you guys will love it. And like I said, right now, Amazon, only $20. Links are in this podcast description. You know, on my Instagram, normal places, nothing new there. Also, guys, you might notice that by the podcast title, we do have a guest in this podcast. Guest booking is now open for the podcast. If you go to my Instagram and you go to my bio, there is a link called Linktree. All my links are on there. The first one on there is a thing that you can just click on guest to be on podcast and fill your stuff out. Fill out if you want to do it on FaceTime, if you want to do it over the phone. Obviously, over the phone will be the lower quality, but I do have some people already signed up to do an over the phone podcast that don't live locally. And on the other side of things, if you live locally, if you're one of the 2/3 of the listeners of this podcast, which are local listeners, you can schedule to come in for a podcast. For an interview podcast in the studio itself. You can come up with your topics, post those topics in the email too. Let me know what you want to talk about, what you can bring to the podcast. I'm not just going to bring people on to, promote their shit out of nowhere and for me to get nothing out of it. I need people on here that want to be on here, people that have a warrior background, people that deserve to be on this podcast, people that want to spread the one warrior mentality. And those are the people I'm looking for. So if you're just looking to bullshit, I'm not looking for those people. I need people that actually have something to offer for this podcast. With all that out of the way, guys, we've got somebody in the podcast room here.
Hello.
She's a blonde, like myself. Welcome to the show, Taylor Nicole Fausey.
Hello, everybody. What's up?
So, as you can see, this is the first guest on my podcast. This is a totally new system. I said we were going to start doing guests, and each guest is going to have different topics thrown in. Now, as you can see from the title to this, Back from the Dead with Taylor Fausey. Now, this podcast probably will take a serious more tone here in a bit because her situation, she's been through a lot of things. I mean, sum up some of the stuff you've gone through already, Taylor.
So I died. I went into cardiac arrest, to be exact. I've had some other stuff in the past too. Our whole family kind of has had quite the journey.
Quite a few years. I mean, ever since, let's see here. Did mom have cancer before you?
After. Every 3 years, something bad happens.
So when was, Stacey had something happen this year. So we have 3 years, basically, to live a free life.
It was my death, and then Brian and mom had cancer, and then Stacey's accident. All 3 years in between, about.
So 2024 or 5 will be the next bad incident.
Well, everybody's telling me that things happen in threes. So I'm not sure.
Nikola Tesla, Nikola Tesla, he believed the world revolved around 3, 6, and 9. So things would happen in scenarios of 3. He was very particular about that.
I agree with that. That's why 3 is my number. But hopefully that's it.
So,
But let's see, 24, I think. Something. 24 or 25.
24 or 25, something is bound to happen again. So, pretty much by that year, be prepared, I guess, right? You're saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's gone through me, Brian, Stace, and Mom. So now it's left you and Dad. So.
Me and Dad. We are the ones targeted.
So good luck.
Great. That's fantastic.
That's what I worked it out to be. So
I better get some health.
I'll pray for you.
I better get some health insurance by 2024. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I like to start out with this. What makes you a warrior? Because to get to understand the one warrior mentality, my one warrior mentality, the one warrior mentality is basically everybody is their own warrior. That's what it means. One warrior. It means everybody can be their own warrior. What makes you a warrior, Taylor?
That's a great question. I should have been ready to answer it. I think just being positive throughout everything you go through, and
so the glass half full mentality.
Yes, always. Even when it's a sucky day or a sucky year, just knowing that there is something better in the future for you, and that you got to be positive through all of it.
Right. Now, do you say in my book, I talk a lot about being like water. Mm-hmm. How water can fill up a glass if it's round, if it's square. Water takes the shape of it. It adapts to a scenario. Would you say you follow that kind of mentality?
Yes. Being flexible in every situation.
Okay.
And just kind of going with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
Making it work.
I've learned that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned in life is to adjust as things go on and just allow things to go on that you can't control. Mm-hmm. Like no matter what, if water is poured into a circular cup, it's always going to be a circle in that cup. There's nothing I can do to change it. It's out of my control. Mm-hmm. So it's something that when things are out of your control, why focus on that so much? Because what that does is just bring you down, bring stress in your life, depression. Mm-hmm. But when you only focus on things you can control, then you kind of have more of a mentality like, I can conquer this, I can change this, but I can't change this, so I can work around that.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of my phrase, let go and let God, because
I love that.
Yeah.
I also live by that. Let go and let God. It's
control the things you can, but if you can't control it, then just let it go and he'll take over.
It's God's will. It's not our will.
We're living for him.
We're living for him. Exactly. My point exactly. And that right there makes you a warrior, in my opinion. I mean, we're all warriors of God. I mean, I've mentioned this on my podcast before. We're not warriors of ourselves. We're warriors of God.
Exactly.
We serve God. So what do you do for a living?
I am a preschool teacher. I teach math to my preschoolers.
That's the only subject you teach?
Mm-hmm. We're a Montessori school, and each room has its own subject, I guess. So my room is the math room.
So those kids are probably not learning anything, you're saying.
I, myself, am not good at math. I'm about at the same level as they are.
Well,
no, they're actually super smart. We, like, some of our higher up ones are doing math, addition, subtraction, they're all doing greater and less, talking about money, time. They're actually very smart.
I graduated high school in pre-algebra.
Yeah.
I never passed algebra 1.
Yeah.
Like literally, like the first 2 years of high school, I literally took basic math and then a pre-algebra. Well, there was a 2 pre-algebra back then. They don't even teach anymore.
Don't worry. I don't think you're the only one in that boat. I was in college freshman year, and I took this class, and I heard it was the easiest math class, and I was like, okay, I can do like some algebra and some basics. I get there, and our third lesson was about mean, median, and mode. And this guy next to me was like, how do you do this? I don't know what mode means. I'm like, are you kidding? I learned this in 3rd grade. Do you know?
I do. Mean, median, mode. Isn't that like average of stuff? Like one of them is average.
The mean is average.
Middle is one of them.
The median is the middle, and the mode is the most.
The most. Okay, so if you have loaded numbers, the most would be the mode. See, I'm not a complete idiot when it comes to math.
I was in shock. Like, I was the smartest one in my class, and I'm not smart with math. So I was shocked that they didn't know what that meant.
You took chemistry in high school, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's like
chemistry's not math. That's science, and I failed.
Chemistry was one of the math classes. Yeah, like,
no, that's science.
Am I thinking of pre-calc?
Calculus?
I'm thinking of calculus.
I took calc and I think calc 2, but I'm pretty sure I got a D in calc 2.
See,
I hated it.
Freshman year for me was basic math. Sophomore year was pre-algebra. Junior year was pre-algebra. Then my senior year, I tried Algebra 1, failed halfway through the year.
And went back to pre?
And they put me back into pre-algebra and said, fine, you can graduate here with pre-algebra.
Oh my gosh.
And then for me in college, the couple years I was there, all we did was like pre-algebra stuff. We didn't do much past like Algebra 1 or anything like that. It was the core classes for that were a lot easier than I thought.
Yeah, I don't enjoy math, but I enjoy teaching it to preschoolers. It's pretty easy.
If you could teach any subject you wanted, though, what would it be?
I think math. In my school specifically, math. Because we have a science room, we have a sensorial room, which is shapes and colors and your senses.
Okay.
And then we have a language and geography room. And then we have EDL, which is everyday living, which is like pouring, cleaning, like polishing, tying, you know, all that stuff. And I am not patient enough for that. All that teacher does is clean up all day long. Because
I mean, these kids are really young.
They're
like, that's a lot of shit for them to...
2.5 to 4 years old. But they're like so smart.
When did we learn to tie our shoes?
I don't know.
Were we 4? 3?
I really can't remember. I remember the SpongeBob episode.
Which
loop-de-loop and pull, and your shoes are looking cool. So I think that's how I learned.
Okay, that's...
So whenever that episode came out, that was probably when it happened.
I totally remember that episode now that you say that. I mean, if you don't know, me and Taylor, you're millennial, right? Or no, wait,
I'm the in-between.
That's right. Okay, I forgot.
Between
every sibling in our family. I'm a millennial, and you are the one under me.
It's 97, so whatever. Some places says one way, some places say the other. So a lot of 97 babies say we're like the halfway.
Okay. Well, we both grew up in the times of SpongeBob, and it's something that we still quote to this day. I mean...
Love it.
There's so many great verses from SpongeBob that you just have to whip out every now and then.
A few of my friends, whenever we get together, we all only watch SpongeBob. Right. It's awesome.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
You want to know what's funnier than 24?
25!
Such a good show. Oh, love it.
What are your hobbies, if you have any?
That's a great question. TV. I watch TV.
Like every other American.
On my free time, typically I get home from school and I'm so worn out that I lay there and watch TV, and that's it. But I do have some other hobbies. I sound like an old person, but macrame, if you know what that is, really fun. It's basically tying knots.
That's what you were going to make for me, and then you never did.
I have not done it yet. Right. Yeah, so...
I think that was from my bathroom, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I make wall hangings of macrame. I make coasters, keychains, little purses. I don't know. It's an old lady thing, but I really enjoy it. So that's one thing. I do a lot of side jobs, so I guess that's kind of my hobby.
You work a lot.
I work a lot.
You make me look like a lazy, asshole, basically. But you do like DoorDash.
Yeah. So I obviously my teaching job, and then I do DoorDash. I do this app called Juggle. It's babysitting. I have a few regular families that I babysit for as well. And then Poshmark, basically reselling clothes. I do that quite often. I sell macrame as well.
Do you have an Etsy?
I don't. I thought about doing Etsy.
Why have you never set up an Etsy?
I don't know. There was one reason I started to set it up and then I stopped, and I don't remember why. I might start that again. If you guys want macrame or want me to start an Etsy shop, let me know. I just got a Cricut too for Christmas, so I can make t-shirts and...
Oh, that's what that's called. That's okay.
Yeah, you put your like sticky stuff on like t-shirts or like cups or phone cases or, you know.
I think an Etsy would be amazing for you. I think it would like take you to a new level business wise. I really do think
I thought of another hobby.
Okay.
Because I think this is why I wanted to start Etsy, was because my drawings, my iPad drawings, it's the basic, Procreate drawings.
Right, you're the ones where you like take a picture and you replicate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I did that for my best friend's wedding. I was maid of honor, and I made a gift for every other bridesmaid and for her, and drew everybody's favorite picture they had with her. Her name's Haley, and drew a picture of all of them with Haley, and then they each got their own picture, and then Haley got a picture of all 8 of us drawn of her with them.
And you drew the whole thing?
Yeah, I drew every picture.
How long did that take?
It shouldn't have taken as long, but I'm a procrastinator, so in total, probably like 6 months, but I think I went like 3 months not working on it.
Okay.
And I think I got like 5 of them done in a week because I was working my butt off and I had COVID, so I had some free time. So I got to sit there and just draw.
Okay, let's talk about COVID. You brought that up just now. Let's talk about COVID. What? I mean, seriously, you are vaccinated.
I got the first vaccine.
You have 2 vaccines.
Well, yeah, mine was the double dose. No boosters. Will not be getting a booster.
Okay.
Also, do not wear masks. Sorry about that. I don't know. I feel like we gotta get it over it. We can't keep living in fear this whole time. If you get it, you get it. Let's get over it. I don't know.
My thoughts exactly. I mean, I think of it as all through history we've had diseases.
Yeah.
They have mutated themselves. They've changed. This is just another one of them.
Exactly.
But I think the government has used
blowing it out of proportion
to cause fear and make a lot of money.
Yes.
Because here's what a lot of people that don't follow the stock market don't know.
Mm-hmm.
When COVID happened, company millionaires and already got filthy rich off that. I don't know if you know this, but before COVID happened, there was this thing that was posted online about a bunch of CEOs resigning from different companies, like a whole bunch of popular companies, like Victoria's Secret. A whole list of them. All these CEOs left companies. My belief is, and that was right before the stock market crashed to those crazy lows that we had around, I think it was March.
Mm-hmm.
What happened there was a lot of those big named took short positions. Short positions are meaning they make money on the way down on stock.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these big, people that know things, they hear things up above, from other rich people. Because obviously, if you're rich, you know a lot more because you're just in that social status, I think you'd call it. But these people, they shorted the market and they got filthy rich. And it was because of our fear. The fear of regular people, the working class, causing all that fear, causing that fear-mongering, making the richer more and more rich. And I see it happening right now again. And I bring this up right now because I've heard this a lot lately. People are thinking about pulling out of the stock market because they're thinking this next COVID round is going to do the same exact thing. Don't fall into that fear. That fear is what will cause the rich to continue to get richer, because you might not know this, but when the stock market drops rapidly like that, there are people that make a lot of money off that. You might not think so, but you have to understand how short positions work on a stock. Anybody can take short positions. They make money on the way down. And big news, big media, when they promote fear like that, I always tell people, do whatever the opposite is that the news channels tell you. If the news channels are saying the stock market's rallying, buy this, buy that, that is when you sell your stock. When that is literally when it is approaching the highs, because Wall Street is always going to promote the media to promote us to do the opposite, or to think the opposite thing. So basically, Wall Street doesn't want what's best for us. They're going to make it, when it's a bullish rally, they're going to be like, buy more of this, when it's already at all-time highs. And I see this happen a lot. People fall into this trick. They hear the media saying, buy this stock. And then you'll see in a notice a month later, the stock is falling hardcore. And that's one of the reasons why, because Wall Street will take what the news says and be like, okay, they're saying bullish on this, we're going to short this. And when Wall Street shorts things, it can really pull the stock market down. And I wanted to bring that up just because a lot of people don't understand how the wealthy stay wealthy. And the stock market is a huge thing that a lot of people that you never think would use it. And they use it in manipulative ways. So fear mongering is one of those things people always say, like, I always say, the government's spreading fear during COVID. And people are like, why would they be trying to spread fear? What are they getting out of that? They're getting a shit ton out of that. They're getting tons of money off that. And also, the companies like Pfizer and Moderna, you remember those stock prices? They shot up. And if you look at insider trading on those stocks, especially during all that time, there were people in big institutions buying up a shit ton of stock when those stocks were around 25 a share and what now. Moderna is, I don't know, over close to $200 a share, I think, right now. That is big money making all that money. And they made that off fear mongering and fear promotion of that. So I just want to make sure and cover that because a lot of people don't understand how that all works. And I just want to kind of sum that up there because that's a big thing. What's your thoughts on like the whole fear mongering that the government does? Like, do you have any thoughts on it? Like in general, like how it affects us as just the working class?
I mean, that's all they do is try to get everybody to be afraid, but they try to be sneaky so that we don't know, but half the world understands that they're just being sneaky. I mean, I don't know. Everybody I know, I mean, I was even afraid when COVID first came out. I was checking how many cases were, in my town, and
that's when I had afraid. It too. Like I had it a lot. So I had it. It came out popular in March. I think it was. March was when the market crashed. Yeah. It came popular. That thing started to shut down at the end of March. February is when I had it. I had it the first week of February, but I didn't even know about it. I heard about the news talking about this virus from China, and I had this sickness that struck me very hard. I remember I had to skip somebody's birthday.
Mom's. They came down to Cincinnati for Mom's birthday.
And I couldn't even go down to Cincinnati with them because I felt so bad. And at the time...
Thank goodness you didn't.
At the time, I didn't know what COVID was or anything. But if you know me, I have a very strong immune system. I don't get sick very easily. So when this hit me the way it did, and I was out for 2 weeks with it, and I lost my sense of taste, smell, my sinuses were screwed up, and actually to this day, I've never recovered my full sinus ability. I mean, I still have struggle smelling things like I used to. Like my senses are dulled from what they used to be. And at the time, I didn't know it, what COVID even was. But I had it. It lasted for about 2 weeks, and I was over it. And then March is when it came and everything went to hell and everybody shut down. I'm thinking, I mean, I struggled with it for 2 weeks. I mean, we're shutting down the whole country because of this thing. It seems kind of crazy. So, I mean, it is what we make of it. It's if you make something to be super fear, you're going to spread the fear. Or if you spread it as, but like I said in the beginning of this, there's been viruses since the beginning of time,
And they've gotten over it. We've gotten medicines for it, whatever, and ways to treat it. And that's what this should be too.
Just something we have to get through.
Yep.
So with that, we're going to take a little break. But when we come back, we are going to jump into Taylor's death story and how she is still here today because it is quite the story. Welcome back, guys. We're here with Taylor Fausey in the studio. We're going to jump into the next chapters, I'd like to call this, of this podcast. And this is your story. You have been through a lot. And when I started my podcast, I mentioned an origin story. And in my origin story, there was a big part in there that played a big part of my life, too, when this whole thing happened to Taylor. Because the whole thing happening to Taylor didn't just, mess with Taylor. It messed with all of us, the whole family. We all had to take a rain check, basically, because we were all living very differently than we do now. I was not as close to God as I am nowadays, like as I was back then. Obviously, I was a Christian still, but I didn't have the same relationship with God as I do now. And we'll get into that more here today. But I'm going to let Taylor now go and tell her story and explain everything that happened, how it happened, what she remembers, what she doesn't remember, which would be kind of hard to talk about. But I'm going to let her just go into this. So Taylor, please entertain us and tell us the story of how you died and how you came back to life and you're still living today.
Okay, so let's see. The year was 2015. I had just moved to college. I am from Northwest Ohio, and I moved down to Cincinnati. And I was doing what every college student does, probably a less partying than every college student, but I was working out. I was making friends, being very active, going to, all these different events for freshmen, just having a blast. And I, for some reason, started getting into running more than I had in high school.
You always were a runner.
I've always been active.
Yeah.
But I did cross country in high school
Track.
I did cross country for one day, hated it so much that I quit, never went back.
Okay.
So,
you're a sprinter like myself.
But I suck at sprinting. So really, I just suck at running, but I do it anyway. But so I moved to college and I, for some reason, get into running, and I was doing pretty good for myself. Like in high school, I would run like a mile or two and that would be about it, or I would do sprints. But when I went to college, I would just run and run and run. And one day, well, let me start with this. A few days before this all happened, I decided to wake up early and run in the morning around campus. It was like 5 a.m. and I ran on campus with nobody around. So
this was before.
Yes, I'm just going to say thank God nothing happened that day, because it would have been a different story if that was the case.
Nobody would have been around.
No.
Probably.
No, I didn't see one person on campus that morning. So, so then, let's see. It was a Tuesday. It was September 22nd of 15. I went to class and I walked to the tanning salon because I enjoy myself a good tan. And then I walked to the UC Rec Center, and I was going to have my regular workout for that night. And I was going to run 3 miles probably and see where that got me. So I ran 3 miles on the treadmill, and I got to 3 miles and I started slowing down because I was going to run a mile cool down, just like a light jog. And not sure how far I got into that run. And I started feeling my legs just get tired, and I was just, I don't know, my legs specifically, I remember feeling very tired and heavy, but I thought that's normal. I just ran 3 miles, Right. I'm going to keep going, whatever.
Right, yeah, normal lactic acid.
Yeah, and so that's the last thing I remember. And then I woke up days later in the hospital. So what I don't really remember is I was running and I collapsed and my heart stopped, and it was stopped for 13 minutes. There was a doctor who was running very close to me, and he saw that they thought I just tripped and fell off the treadmill. He came over to me and knew that I needed CPR and AED, so he started to try to work on me, and then other people went and got the rec center workers, and they are so incredible. They have a plan in place for everything. And so they started their plan on what to do for a cardiac arrest. So they started CPR, and they ended up shocking me twice with an AED. And they did CPR for 13 minutes before the ambulance got there. And they had shocked me twice in the ambulance as well, and they are the ones who got my heart started in the ambulance.
So your heart was stopped completely in the rec center.
Yes, for 13 minutes I was out, which is it's a long time.
That's a long time. That is a long time.
Yeah.
Brain damage can kick in what is
minutes,
it? 6 minutes? Is it 6 minutes the brain can last without?
I feel like it's less. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, so it's a miracle there's no brain damage as well. But so I finally got to the UC Health Hospital, and there's different rumors on what exactly happened when I was there. I've heard from some people that I came in unconscious and quiet, not doing anything, and then they took care of me. And then there's other stories.
Like you were a zombie?
No, there's other stories that I came in to the ER just screaming nonsense and like flailing my body like
you were possessed.
Crazy, yeah. And
what? This is the first time hearing of this.
Yeah, I've heard both sides, and like we don't know what actually happened. So that's
because none of our family members are down there.
No one was there
yet.
Right. No. So at this point, I was checked into the hospital under let's see, I think my name was ZZZ Union Female or something.
It was something weird like that.
And
not a John Doe.
Yeah, and so the way that my family found me was the cop got my phone from the wreck, and there was a text message from an unsaved number, and so he called that number and said, "Hey, you just texted somebody and you said, 'Does anyone want to join me for Taco Tuesday?' Who did you text?" And she was like, "Yeah, I just texted this group of girls. I'm their Rogam," because at this time I was going through sorority recruitment.
That's right. You had to skip it.
Yeah, it was right between, there's 2 weekends of recruitment. This was after the first weekend. So she was like the older girl looking after my group of, new people. And so she was like, "Yeah, I texted my small group. There's like 6 girls, whatever." And he goes, "Okay, well, this girl was, about 5 foot something and blonde, pretty active. She's at the wreck." And she went through a list of people and was like, "Oh, I think it's Taylor." And he was like, "Okay, well, can you find out who her family is?" And so she was like, "Yeah, I'll try." So she got on Facebook and messaged everybody who had my last name, Fausey.
And this is where I said, remember my origin story, because I talked about this night when I saw that message and I thought it was just spam coming in through my Facebook, and I ignored it. I continued on with my deadlift session for the night.
Yeah, I would have, if it was me on the other end getting that message, I would have never seen it because I never check Facebook Messenger. But my sister was out to dinner with her family, her husband and 2 kids, and she happened to look and see it. And she called her and found out that, well, I think the girl, Christy, who was messaging people, I think she gave Stacy the cop's number to call him. I'm not sure. So I think Stacy called the cop and found the hospital and ended up asking for me. And nobody knew who I was at the hospital because I wasn't under my name.
They knew you as Zizi Top.
Yeah. Close enough, yeah. And so she's in a full panic, asking where I am, and she was in front of my nephews when she asked this, but she was screaming, crying, and if you know Stacy at all, and she's
the one that worries the most in the family. She makes a big deal out of everything.
Love her. But she screams and she goes, "Can somebody just tell me if my sister's alive?" And my nephews were sitting right there. And the oldest one...
He would have been 6, 7, maybe. 6.
Oh, I don't even remember. 6 years ago? 11 minus 6. 5? I think 5.
Okay. You teach math? You teach math. Oh, okay, my
let's say he was 5. I think he was, because he was... Yeah, he was. So, the oldest one was 5, and he got really upset, and he looked at Stacy, and he said, "Is Tiha in heaven?" Which, that's what he calls me, Taylor Tiha. So he's, crying, and he's like, "Is Tiha in heaven?" And Stacy, that made me very upset to hear that. But, so Brian, her husband, took the boys, and Stacy came to the hospital. She ended up finding out I was there. I don't know how she found out who I was. I think she's said she had a cardiac arrest at the wreck,
Knowing Stacy, she was probably banging on desks, throwing chairs across the room, trying to figure shit out, because she can't keep her calm in situations like that.
Yeah. So she finally got there. She had called my parents and said that I passed out on the treadmill, and that's all that she told them, because they had to drive 3 hours to get to me.
And that's when Dad called me and told me, and they said you passed out on the treadmill. I thought nothing of it. I knew nothing that you were in the hospital. They said she passed out on the treadmill. We're gonna go down there and see what's going on. They didn't make a big deal, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, Stacy didn't want them to panic because they had to drive 3 hours.
Well, Dad, he still drove 90, I think, that night.
He did drive fast, and then when they got halfway there, they got a call from the hospital saying, "Oh, we got her heart started again." And they were like, "What? When was her heart stopped?" They had no clue.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
he sped up even more,
No, and Dad, he went 130.
And he got stuck in traffic and stuff. So they were driving through the shoulder and stuff. Oh, it was bad. But they finally got there, and I, at this point, was in a medically induced coma. because they did not know how my brain was going to be. They didn't know how my lungs were going to be because they collapsed. I had broken, I think, one rib. Someone recently told me two, but I really don't know. And so I had a chest tube in. I was on a ventilator. I looked like crap.
She looked like a zombie. I like a mummy. That's what I'm trying to think of. When when I first saw the pictures after this whole thing, and I refused to look at it. If you know me, I hate hospitals. I hate hospitals. I despise anything. I don't even go down there because I just hate that kind of stuff. I hate seeing people that hurt and whatnot. And when I first saw those pictures, I couldn't believe it. It was, you didn't even look human at that point.
No, I looked like I was dying. Like,
you looked like you were dead.
Like I was dead. Yeah, it was bad. I love the pictures. I love hospitals. So I'm like fine with saying like, oh, when I died, blah, blah, blah. And everybody's like, how can you say that? I'm like, well, it happened and I'm here.
Like,
whatever.
Literally, you text us on your death day every year and say, Happy Death Day!
One of my best friend's birthdays is on that same day, so we celebrate our birthday and death day the same day.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty funny. One year they sang Happy Death Day to me. No, Sarah.
Sarah. Okay.
Yeah, they sang Happy Death Day to me, so that was pretty cool. But anyway, so I'm in a medically induced coma. All this stuff hooked up to me. My body, I think I gained like 50-something pounds because of how much water was in me.
Weight. Yep.
Oh, it was crazy. I like got huge.
You got like
it was bad. and let's see. They woke me up like I thought it was a week. Dad told me like 5 days.
It was around 5 days because I was super depressed for 5 days, I remember.
Jeez,
yeah,
sorry.
I couldn't focus on anything at work. I almost got fired that week because I couldn't work it, and Sally almost let me go that week,
Jeez.
my old boss, because she just didn't comprehend any of that. So I almost lost my job that week until you woke up because I was going crazy myself.
Yeah, well, so I think it was 5 days. I don't remember this. When I remember waking up, I was very calm, and I just didn't think anything of it. In my head, I was like, oh, I had an accident on a treadmill. That's it. But apparently I had woken up before that, just like freaking out, trying to take my ventilator out, like screaming, kicking, and whatever.
I think it was a dream maybe in your coma? Because you were in a coma.
Well, I think I was so drugged up that I like don't remember that. But that's when everybody was like, oh, you just had an accident on a treadmill, whatever. And so I guess the second time I woke up, when I actually remember, it was after they told me what happened. But since I had the tube down my throat, I couldn't talk. So I tried to do sign language. My parents had no clue what I was doing. And then eventually they got me a pen and paper, and I was able to like scribble down.
So here's the funny thing about that. You learned sign language in your dorm. Didn't you, before this happened?
I think I learned it right before I moved to college.
So God had you learn that for a reason. Yeah. That's fascinating to me.
Not like it helped because nobody knew what I was doing.
Well, Stacy's the one that realized you were doing sign language. Mm-hmm. She knew some of it, and she was the first one to realize it.
Yeah. So it was funny. I kept writing, notes to everybody, and I wasn't panicked at all. Like, I feel like a lot of people would be like sad or upset or freaked out at the situation, and I just like was so calm. I totally knew I was gonna be fine. Like, there was no doubt in my head, even though everybody around me was like, oh, her lungs aren't stable by themselves, or she's gonna have brain damage, or blah blah blah. I was like, no, I'm completely fine. I'm gonna be just fine.
Now, okay, did you see heaven?
No.
Did you see any light?
No. This is what I tell people. I feel like God knew that I was so faithful and that I was such a big believer of him that he didn't need to prove
He didn't need to
anything.
show you anything.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like some people who do see that, they have doubts or
exactly.
They need...
It's the atheists that you see these near-death experiences, and I'm guilty of watching a lot of these. And these people are atheists, and they have a near-death experience, and they see it, and then they're like all faithful all of a sudden. Yeah. And they completely change their way of living and everything.
Yeah. And I just don't think I needed that. I did not need him to prove anything to me because I fully believed him before.
Right. Now, I'm wondering, is it possible that maybe you did go to heaven? You even had a conversation with God, and God comforted you in such a way that and then and then took your memories of that. And that, because you said you woke up feeling like you knew you were going to be fine.
I was very peaceful. Yeah.
Very peaceful. That peacefulness doesn't come. I mean, you listen to other people's experiences with this kind of stuff, people that have accidents, and they wake up not knowing where they are. They're freaking out.
Real freaked out, yeah.
And that wasn't your case for you. That's why I still think that God comforted you and literally had you in heaven talk to you for clearing your memories. Because I have listened to near-death experiences where God, or Jesus himself actually, has said, you will not remember anything because it's not your time, but you can ask anything while you're here. And then he sends them back. Wow. And I've heard this in multiple people's stories, and I think you might have had that happen to you.
That definitely could have happened. I wish I remember it, but I don't need to, because I've never doubted
your faith is strong.
My faith, yeah.
Your faith is strong.
So I wish I'd seen something, but I'm okay that I didn't.
Right.
But yeah. So then, let's see. Finally, I got off the ventilator. And I think they were testing me to see if I could get off the chest tube, if I remember. And I kept failing the breathing test, but I am bad at tests. It sounds so bad, but if I don't know what I'm like shooting for, I don't know what to do.
Are you talking about just physical tests or all over tests? Are you just a bad test taker?
All tests. I hate tests.
You don't know how many jobs I have missed trying to take a test. Yeah. Like, I applied for this local company, L.E. Smith, for this really good position. And they liked me in the interview. I did great in the interview. I took the test and I found out, like, I had, like, this worse score than this disabled person that had come in and took it. Like, that's how bad of a test taker I am. Now, I didn't get the job, obviously.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But it was terrible. My score was so horrific. And I mean, I'm just that way in general. I can't take tests. I've always been terrible at taking tests.
So, like, basically, what they told me was to just breathe like normal. I think it might have been into the little, like, thing. I don't remember. Or if they were watching the monitor and I was just breathing. I don't know what it was. I was kind of out of it. But all they told me was to just breathe like normal. And so I take pretty tiny little breaths. That's just, I don't know how I breathe. And so I failed, like, so many times.
Are you a mouth breather or a nose breather? There's a lot of health benefits to do nose breathing.
Honestly, I have no clue. I kind of hold my breath half the time.
Oh my God.
No, I have no clue. I don't know. I'll try to
focus on
listen
that. Try to see. Because I always tell people, breathing through the nose, it promotes more calmness. I talked about it in my book too, how breathing through the nose, you have a lot more calmness because you're naturally, as a human, designed to breathe through the nose. You have nasal passageways and bacteria in your nose that filter things that come in. Your throat, on the other hand, doesn't have that, which is interesting because when people breathe in through their throat, they're not getting that. Your nose is like a filter. God made us with a filter that filters everything, and we're supposed to breathe in through the nose normally.
Interesting. Yeah. I'll have to pay attention when I breathe. But I kept failing this breathing test, and I was like, why am I failing? I'm breathing just fine. And so the one time I took it, like, my whole family was like, you don't need it, the chest tube anymore. Like, you're fine. You're breathing just fine. And so one of the times I took it, my sister sat on the floor in front of me, and she was telling me to breathe deeper or to not breathe so deep. I don't even know. But I apparently wasn't breathing as deep as they wanted me to. So when I was finally told, like, try to breathe deep, they were like, oh, you actually are fine. Let's take it out. I don't know. It's stupid. I think I could have been off of it way sooner. But finally got that out.
It was like a week afterwards, too, if I remember right.
It was a long time. And then, so I finally got chest tube out, ventilator out, and my voice was gone. Like, I cannot sing as beautifully as I used to be able to.
The month before this happened, you had FaceTimed us a video of you driving, and you were singing that Dream On song.
And I could hit the high notes.
You were hitting the high. That's a hard song to hit.
Now
that's
I can't do it anymore.
Really?
Because my voice, it when you have the tube down your throat for so long, it damages parts of your voice.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, so I can't sing like I used to. Like, there's literally songs where I used to be so good at it, and now I can't. And, yeah, I'm not a singer, but I could sing better than I can now. But anyway, so I finally got it out, and I still couldn't talk for a little bit, so I was still writing stuff. And at one point, when I was finally able to talk, I was finally able to FaceTime Sean. Or maybe just phone call. Do you remember that?
I remember phone call.
And I knew beforehand, when I woke up, I was like looking around to see who came to visit me. And I knew Sean wasn't there. And there was not a second that like phased me because I knew he wouldn't be there because he hates hospitals so much. Crazy. And so I was like, I don't even care. Like, I didn't expect him to come. And so I finally got to call him. And on this call, Sean goes, "Oh my gosh, isn't it crazy that you died? Your heart stopped." And my eyes go wide, and I look at my family, and I go,
"You didn't
my
know
heart
yet.
Stopped?"
Nobody told you that because nobody knew how to tell you.
No, and they didn't want to freak me out. But
I'm the only one ever real with you.
Exactly. But I wasn't even freaked out. I thought it was so cool. But because
I
was like,
I would. That's why I told you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm alive and I died. What? That's sick. That's awesome. So I really, it did not scare me at all. But yeah. So I had lots of friends and family who came and visit or sent me things. Very thankful for all that everybody did during that time. And then, big part of this, before my doctor said, before I was able to leave, I had to get a defibrillator. He said, "I don't feel comfortable sending you away because at this time, and still even today, they have no clue why this happened, why my heart stopped, anything. They have no clue."
I think it was a combination of factors. You had given blood. You were really dosed up on high caffeine. There was a lot of things that could have possibly caused it.
I still am. I don't know. There's a lot of stories of young high school and college student aged people randomly dropping and going into sudden cardiac arrest.
It's a popular thing.
It's very weird, and so
it's gotten worse as the years have gone on too.
Yeah. So we don't know what happened. We did all the genetic testing. We did so many heart tests and stress tests and all that crap and found nothing. So they put me on heart meds and they said, before you leave the hospital, you have to have a defibrillator. And apparently they had talked about putting it in my side. I think it's an SICD. I don't know. I can't say the word. It's too big. So they talked about putting it in my side, but then they said that they couldn't because they had just taken the chest tube out. So there was too much scar tissue.
You had like 4
damage.
Holes on the side of your side because they had put stuff into you.
I have scars everywhere on my body. It's crazy.
She's the true warrior, people.
Yeah, for real. And so they talked about putting it in my side, but because the chest tube they couldn't, and so they put it in my chest, on my left side, and there's 2 leads, like wires, that connect from the device to my heart, and the leads actually are attached to my heart. And so I had that for 6 years.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Because this year I got it moved, but we'll get to that. So I had it there, and then they let me leave the hospital. I was fine. I couldn't move that arm for like 6 weeks, or I don't know. But I ended up going back to school. My mom stayed with me for 2 weeks. She carried my books to class. She helped me with my classes. I think I stayed at my sister's house and just had a little bit extra help for about 2 weeks. And then I was pretty normal after that. I think I bounced back a lot faster than
a lot of people.
You
came back a lot faster.
Yeah.
We were not expecting that.
No. Even my dad was like, "You can drop out of school for this first semester. Like, I'm fine with it." And I was like, "No, I'm okay. Why would I drop out?" So then I ended up going back and working out. A lot of people ask me if I have PTSD or if I can't run on treadmills anymore or if I couldn't go back to the rec. And I'm like, no, I chose that same treadmill to run on every time.
She comes back and like, "Bitch, try it again. I dare you to."
I'm like, it never fazed me at all. I actually ended up working at the rec with the same people who saved me. And I ended up doing training and stuff all on how to treat cardiac arrest at the rec. So I'm like, I obviously was not afraid of it because I went right back and dove right into the same situation.
That's true. That's 1Warrior mentality right there.
Yeah,
not letting fear guide
phased.
you. Yep.
Yeah. So I still work out, different now, but we'll talk about that. But anyway, after I got the device and I left the hospital, then about a month later, I was walking to the UC homecoming game, Go Cats, with my best friend and my other roommate at the time. And my whole family was there too because it was homecoming. I had just gotten healthy again. Like, it was supposed to be a big, fun event.
I was even there myself.
Yeah. And so me and my roommates just parted ways with my family. And they were like, remember, we're sitting in section, I don't know, 463 or something. I don't remember the number. But I was like, okay.
It wasn't 666, was it?
No. And in Nippert Stadium, there's like no cell service at all. Like, you can't call anybody or text anybody. So like, we knew like, oh, if we have to find each other, we're sitting in the student section, you're in this section, the 4 whatever. And so so we part ways, and I'm literally walking with my friends, and I start feeling like a tapping in my chest. And I was like, ugh, this is weird. Like, what is this? And they were like, do you want to sit down? And looking back, I should have sat down. But I didn't. I was like, no, when we get in, I'll sit down. I'm fine. So I get in line, and I'm rummaging through my purse to find my ticket. And all of a sudden, I just fell to the ground, and I thought someone pushed me. I literally turned around, and I was about to start a fight because I thought somebody just shoved me to the ground, and I was about to throw hands. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, wait, that was my defibrillator. I was told that it feels like a horse kicking you from behind.
Oh, so
my defibrillator shocked me. I sat there, and my friends went to go find my parents. And thankfully they knew exactly where they were. And I was sitting there. Finally, the ambulance got there, and they took me to the hospital, and I found out my heart was going 230 beats per minute, I believe.
Wow.
Just from walking. No reason.
230.
230, which when I'm like sprinting, dead sprint, it's like 200.
I was going to say, I don't get past 210 or anything like that. And I'm a terrible...
I was just walking. So like they did, countless tests and crap, and found out I had a nerve that needed to be burnt off. So I had a cardiac ablation. So they go through my groin and go up and burn a part of my heart, which I was awake for this procedure, and it was so cool. Since then, I recommend everybody have a surgery where they're awake, because it was incredible. Listen to this. They were burning part of my heart, and I'm laying there, and all of a sudden my chest feels hot, and I start smelling something, and they can see the panic in my eyes, and they were like, oh, don't worry, that's this whole procedure. You're going to smell it. We're burning your heart. I was like, oh, okay. Up. Like, it was so cool, and I got to watch on the screen.
Did it smell like flesh?
Yes. It was like burning flesh. It was so cool. I'm a freak, I guess. and so I had that done, and then I was fine after that. No more, super fast heart rates. And then I think 2 years go by, and my device starts beeping, which it's a beeping inside my chest. So it's like really cool. And it starts beeping, and I find out that I broke my leads, fractured them. And then I found out it was because I was working out in a way I wasn't supposed to be, which my first cardiologist said any type of working out is fine. Any weightlifting, whatever. And then I found out by my next cardiologist that is not okay. And I was breaking all the rules. And he yelled at me for it. And I was like, I didn't know. You guys told me I was fine. So found out that through weightlifting, I broke my leads, got them replaced. Few years go by. And then this year, 2021, I broke them again, which... I found out I broke them by tumbling doing gymnastics when I was drunk. So that I think was when...
Wait, pause. What did the doctor tell you about drinking alcohol? You have to say it.
Okay, my rehab doctor said I could drink 10 to 20, but never 30. I'm just kidding. No,
the number goes up.
I don't know what he said. He gave me a limit for beer because he said
2 to 4, but never 10. I think it was.
Is that what it was?
2 to 4, but never 10.
Because he was like, "You're a young college student. You're gonna drink, so you can drink 2 to 4 beers, but never 10."
Yeah. So we've increased it over the years, like 2 to 8, but never 10, or never 15.
Dad'll see me drinking or taking shots or something, and he'll say, "Hey." he said no shots, and I said no. He said 5 to 10 shots, never 20. Like, whatever. So, I still drink. Where was I? What was I saying?
You never.
I'm already lost.
You never drink?
Oh, I was tumbling, and when I was drunk, and so I broke my leads again, and I went months without surgery because my doctor, I don't know, he's flaky, and so they had to turn off my defibrillator because it could accidentally shock me if I like moved wrong, I guess, and so they turned it off and gave me a life vest in the middle of summer when my AC wasn't working, which it's this tight, stupid vest that makes you sweat so bad. And then it was in summer. My AC was broke. Like, it was terrible.
And you already sweat like...
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah.
I don't even know an analogy because
I don't either.
Yeah.
It's bad. And so, so it was hot. And that was like 3 months of that. It was terrible. And then finally, I got to talk with my doctor, and I had mentioned the idea. I was like, I keep breaking my leads, so can we put the device in my side? Because I talked to a different doctor I know, and he said that there's way less risk of breaking your leads if it's in your side. And so I asked him, and the day before surgery, I finally got to meet with him, and he said, all right, you get to pick which one do you want. You have to decide today before you leave.
That's crazy.
And I was like,
You had no time to think about it at all?
No, it was the night before.
Oh my gosh.
And so,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I read all the stuff online, all the paperwork he gave me, and I decided that I was going to get it moved to my side because I can do the workouts that I want to do now. I can tumble, I can do diving again, I can swim, I can do whatever. And there's way less chance of the leads breaking. And if they do, it's a far less risky surgery to get it out because basically they just have to pull it out. And before they had to open me up again and pry it basically off my heart, which there was more risk of that because the longer it was in, the more tissue forms around the leads, makes it harder to take it off and could result in a bleeding from my heart and ripping it. And so now it's not the new lead is not attached to my heart. So if I want to get it replaced, they just pull it right out, no worries. So if I broke the lead, way less risky.
But you have a lump on your side.
Oh
now.
My gosh. This
lump. Big ass lump.
The defibrillator is huge. It's like double the size. It weighs a crap ton. And I look so gross. It looks like my lat muscle.
I was going to say, it looks like your lat muscle is really developed on one side.
And so I keep thinking, I'm like, when I can start working out again, I'm going to, get my lats huge and form my back, and you won't be able to even see it. But you'll still be able to see it. It's huge. And it hurts real bad. Like, it's been 3 months since surgery, and when a kid or anybody hugs me, oh, it hurts so bad. And I've bumped it on so many chairs and so many like railings and stuff. Oh, it hurts. But I can work out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, at least you can lift now again. That's crazy.
It's terrible.
Though. Now, backtracking a little bit back now to the football game.
Yeah.
You don't know the other side of that story, though, where we were, what was happening.
The bird?
Yes.
I know the bird.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
So we go to sit down. And we're all sitting there. The game, I don't think it started yet. No, it hasn't started yet. The teams are just warming up. And this bird out of nowhere comes flying. I see it flying. And it's flying straight at us. I'm thinking, is this thing going to run into us? I mean, it's going fast too. And it flies by my head over top. And I'm like, that was weird. And then all of a sudden, I look over and it landed right on my dad's head, right next to me. And the people behind us are like, there's a bird right there. There's a bird right there. And my dad's like, what do I do? And he's looking around. He's turning his head slowly. The bird's just sitting there. And I'm looking at the bird, and the bird's looking back at me. And then all of a sudden, we hear some people running up to us, and that scares the bird away. The bird flies off. And Haley runs over to us and says, Taylor just passed out. She's laying on the ground. She's passed out. Her defibrillator went off and whatnot. So we stand up and we run over there. But that also brings to a little thing I want to talk about with birds in our family.
Birds are huge with our family.
So the day Taylor was born, we hit a bird on the way to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I was very young. I was 5 years old. We go down our road and we smash right in this bird on the windshield. Flying guts everywhere. And ever since then, when birds appear in our life, weird occasions of birds. Now, I want to also say too, the night that this happened to Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
I have a video of it even. It's because I had found it so weird.
Oh.
I was at home, and it was as I was leaving for work in the morning. This whole swarm of birds was in my backyard. There were so many birds in my backyard. They were just all on the ground, and it was weird. I had taken a video of it because it was so weird. That was the night that this all happened to you.
Well, and that same night, my mom and dad were working on an old barn
Yes,
at
they
our
were.
place, and
Yep.
they sent pictures of these two
Pigeons. It was pigeons,
Are you
wasn't
sure?
it?
That weren't they like Huron birds, those big ones?
Oh, I think they're cranes. Something.
I don't know. It was
Yep.
two big birds by our pond that like are barely ever there, and sent a picture of them. And that same night was when I died.
Yeah.
So birds are real.
A big thing in our
Real
family.
big.
And then with Stacy. What about with Stacy?
I don't know. I feel like. I think just with me.
Okay.
Honestly.
So just with you. Just
Yeah.
with you as birds.
Yeah. I don't know.
So whenever we have any weird instances with birds,
we always text each other. We're like, I love you.
Like the other day, I'm working at home, and Taylor texts me, I see an owl! An owl's outside my window in the middle of the day!
Yeah, there was a literal owl. It was weird.
And I look it up online, I'm like, that is certainly an owl. And
Yeah.
it was an owl. It was a
It
long
was.
neck owl.
Okay.
I was curious because it looked kind of like an eagle.
Yeah.
But then I Googled it and pulled some pictures up, and it's called a long neck owl.
It was hard to tell, but then he like turned his head all the way around, and I saw his eyes, and I was like, "Oh, that's an owl."
It was definitely
It's
an owl. It was no doubt an owl. And in the
Ugh.
midday like that, that's an odd occasion.
Yeah.
I've seen them in the evening sing
Right
on towers.
outside my window.
Around here, but in the midday, that is an
it's
odd
weird
scenario.
because I never go out to my car usually in the middle of the day, except maybe lunch breaks. But I went out like in the middle of our kids' work time because I had to go grab like a present, and I look up and it was right there. And like I never go outside ever.
It was just last week.
Yeah. It was right after Stacy's accident
After?
that I saw.
It was after?
It was after because I texted her in the group too. Yeah,
Oh,
it was after. So
are you sure?
positive.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird, but birds are a big thing.
Yeah, they are. Well, with all that, we're going to take a small break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how Taylor recovered, what she did different to her training, what her workouts look like now compared to what they used to be, just how she lives life now being part android. And welcome back, guys. Once again, we're here with Taylor. Now we're going to move into how you kind of go about life now with training, how things changed from what they used to be, what your workouts look like now, because when you first had this happen, I remember we went to the gym a few times and you were telling me about isometric training as one of the things that you had to do. And it was very fascinating how you used to train, because you used to train like me.
Yeah.
You would literally come over in the summer and you would lift weights with me, train just like me. We did the same exercises. You were my training partner. And now it's completely different.
Yeah. So right after the accident, after of course, I think it was like standard 3 months, I mostly just ran. I mean, started off with running, and then after my arm and my chest felt better, I started doing weightlifting again. It wasn't too heavy, but I got into it. And I actually, since I started working out at the rec, I made some friends who they're all these huge guys who just lift thousands of pounds. And so I started training with them, and they actually made me so much stronger. And my like physique back then was so good because I was lifting so much.
It was.
And that was great. And then so I was like doing everything in the gym, except squats, because my knees crack every time I move. So I really can't do squats. So that's fun. But I did everything else, and it was awesome. And I was still running a lot. And then there was one day when, with one of those friends, I found out he does gymnastics, and I was like, oh, I do gymnastics too. So we spent all day tumbling at the rec center, and then the next day was when my defibrillator beeped and said that my leads were broken. So the working out constantly mixed with the tumbling was what first made my leads break. So that was good. And then tumbling was the second time my leads broke. But so then after my leads broke that first time and they said, hey, you can't lift weights, you can't train like this, then I swam a few times. Not sure if that was allowed either, because basically the rotation with your arm, or raising your arm up, your bones, where the leads go, your bones twist, and the more your bones twist there, the more it wears down the lead. So they said, no, don't do continuous motion. Like bench pressing is actually really bad. Pull-ups were one of the worst. Push-ups, one of the worst. Like, because it's just that continuous motion and like strain on your chest. And so I was pretty bummed out because I was like, well, that's my favorite hobby, is working out, lifting weights. You know, it's a blast. So after that, I've pretty much only ran. There are some days I do still do like leg press, you know, all the basic leg moves, because that doesn't affect upper body. And then the only arm moves that I really stuck to was curls and tricep extensions, which I was told I'm not allowed to do any of those, but I did them anyway because after, like for triceps, after your arms are up, they stay up. Right. You're not moving that upper part of your arm by your shoulder anymore. It's
locked in place.
Yeah, and then same with curls. I was like, I'm not lifting my shoulder at all. So, like, I personally okayed myself to do those.
Your doctor would have been like, hell no, hell no.
He'll listen to this and yell at me. But so basically that's all I stuck to. For a while, I was getting really bored of that. And I had a friend, I don't know who it was. He recommended isometric training. So basically, I tried this for like maybe a year. I don't know. But you basically do a movement and hold it. There's a certain amount of time that you're supposed to hold it for. I don't remember what it was. It was like, hold it for a minute, take a break for 30 seconds, hold it for a minute.
A lot of rehab stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's popular in rehab. Isometrics is.
And so I did that with, rows?
Yep.
And then I did some lat pull downs, but that kind of, you know, that was more strain on my arm, so I tried to not do that as much. There were a few times my best friend went to the gym with me, and she, like, pulled the bar down for me, and then I just held it.
Yep.
Yeah, but that, obviously, if I go by myself, it's tricky to do.
Right.
So I tried to do some of that. I didn't see too much improvement with my, like, physique or my strength with that, so I kind of gave up. I was like, I don't know,
But, like, did it help your mentality at all?
Not really. I think it did for a while because it gave me more stuff to do at the gym. But I was like, I kept comparing it to how I used to work out, and I just got bored.
Because that's interesting. Because when I had my 2 disc herniations, my L4, L5, and I couldn't lift like I wanted to anymore. I was, for 6 months, I could train shoulders and arms, basically.
Yeah.
And my physique, it didn't really change much. My arms got a little bit bigger. But just the mentality of being able to train kept me sane. And also at the same time, Pokemon Go had come out, and I was walking miles each night too. So just that activity was helping me mentally through that.
I guess it was just boring because you got to sit there and just hold it. And you're like, I like the continuous movement. That's why I like running.
Right.
I like constantly moving, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But you don't like running though.
I do like running. I just don't want anybody to watch me, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't feel like I'm a good runner, but I enjoy it. It's a love-hate relationship.
I see.
With running. And my hips are just so bad. I'm an old lady, so my hips really hurt when I run.
My hips are terrible,
but I
too.
do it anyway.
I have a rotated pelvis. It's rotated to the right a little because ever since that accident with my back, I had scoliosis to begin with. Then my disc herniations have knocked my hip placement out, so my hips are always tilted like this.
Oh, gosh. Ouch.
So it's always like this. So I always have to readjust things. I know exactly what you mean. With hip problems. I mean, I liked the working out and how I had more options, but it just wasn't enough movement for me. Right.
I like working up a sweat and just constantly moving. So, but anyway, so that was what I did up until now. And so I got my leads my whole device moved September of this year, 2021. and I had to wait for 3 months to work out again. So it actually lined up perfectly to be Christmas Day that I could finally work out again. And I had this whole plan. I was going to start and on Christmas have a fun Christmas workout. But this year's Christmas was obviously sucky because
you spent the time cleaning Stacy's house.
Exactly.
Instead.
I took care of my sister, which I'm fine with because she's taken care of me, with all my heart stuff. So I took care of her and took care of the house, cleaned a whole bunch, and so I was just worn out. I stayed up all night helping her, so I was worn. So I decided I'm going to start January 1st. I'm going to start fresh and start working out then and take a little bit of a break because this Christmas season was a handful.
Okay. So what's going to be your split, your workout split?
Good question, because I am not sure. I stay up at night thinking about this, because what I do when I work out is I go too strong, too heavy, too fast.
Oh.
I'll take like a week off because work is so crazy, and then I'll start the next week, and I'll be like, okay, Monday, I gotta lift, I gotta do full body, I gotta run, I gotta do this and that, and then Tuesday, I'm like, I'm dead right now.
So you're one of those people that don't know how to manage your energy throughout.
No, because I get so excited, and I'm like, oh, I get to work out, let's go hard. And so I'm nervous I'm going to start too hard.
Which is a common mistake by a lot of people. They go way too hard at the beginning of the week and kill themselves by the end of the week.
Which I also need to start running again. Because for the last 3 months, I haven't been able to work out at all because of my surgery.
Right.
And so I need to run because this March is the Heart Mini, which is a big marathon and stuff. And so I need to prepare for that. So I need to work my running in with the weightlifting as well. But I think I'm going to start real easy, do some basics, the basic workouts, some rowing, like maybe just do a couple moves, like maybe 2 back moves, 2 arm moves, run, next day some leg moves, run, try to ease my way
How
back
many days a week are you going to train?
Every day. Not weekends. Okay,
on
the weekends I have to do at least like 30-minute walk.
Okay, right. That's how I go. I train 5 days a week, and on the weekends I just do some active stuff, walking and whatnot.
My goal is 30 minutes of being active every day.
Mm-hmm.
Because in college, I used to love long workouts. I was at the gym for like 2+ hours. And now I'm like, I don't have enough time for that. I get home from work late and I need some time to relax too. Right. I need at least 30 minutes of workout every day.
With weights and then 30 minutes of...
at least 30 minutes. I'm saying 30 total. Is my goal. Because minutes. After I get to the gym... Right. I can stay.
Right. That's what I tell people. Motivation comes usually when you're at the gym. So I tell people if they're struggling with motivation, just go to the gym and start.
Exactly.
And you'll find yourself there like over an hour. Just because you'll grow into it.
So that's what I say is 30 minutes. And that way on the weekends, I can just do a 30-minute walk or 30-minute something. And I'm taken care of.
So question.
Yes.
You haven't been lifting for a long time now or training or anything.
Yeah.
But you still look phenomenal. What's your secret? I'm sure people want to know.
You want to hear my secret? Eat Chick-fil-A twice a week at least. And maybe throw Freddy's in there. If you guys know what Freddy's is, ooh, they have the best steak burgers. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's my secret. The only lifting I really do is lifting up 2.5 to 4-year-olds and hugging them, and that's all.
You probably do lots of walks though too, right? Because I tell my listeners how important walking is. Walking's
very important. That's like right now the only working out that I've done for the past 3 months. On my lunch breaks, I'll go out and take a walk. Sometimes it's just like 10 minutes, but just to get out there. Even just to, be outside and have the fresh air for a little bit.
Exactly. I tell my listeners, there's never a time where you're going to go on a walk and regret taking that walk. Never. Like, that's why I tell people to start with 10-minute walks. Start every time you eat a meal, take a 10-minute walk. Or if you want to walk, 20 minutes at night or something, there's never a time where you're just going to say, oh, I regret that walk.
No. I've been on lunch break walking, and it started raining. And I was on the phone with my mom, and I was just having a blast out there. I was like, oh my gosh, it's raining. Like, I wasn't negative about it at all. I wasn't like, oh, I wish I didn't walk. Like, I was still positive because, I don't know, it brightens your day.
Yeah, it does. Definitely. When I first had my disc herniations, I couldn't lift at all for like a couple weeks because any strain at all in my back would have messed me up. all I could do is walk. And that week, Pokemon Go had come out, so I had a reason to go walking, and I found my love for walking then, because I would get off work and I couldn't go lift, so what did I do? Started walking down the road, and I just kept walking.
Yeah.
And I sometimes would, like, drive over to the next town and walk there, like, over to Defiance or whatnot. And that was my workouts I did for, at least it was 2 weeks of just walking. I couldn't lift weights at all, just because my back was so messed up. But walking saved me mentality, because I needed something.
And you can be productive when you walk, too. Like, if you're, skilled, you can read when you walk. I am not skilled.
Audiobooks?
I was going to say audiobooks or podcasts, or like calling. I always call my mom, or you can call friends and just catch up. And it's like, can be just such a positive experience, just walking.
Or if you have clients you need to reach up with and connect with, you can do that.
My parents, if I need to call them or text them, like my kids' parents, my school parents. My kids' parents. I don't know. I love it. It's great.
So what's your nutrition strategy? So for me, I eat about 2 meals a day. Okay. I eat 2 hours before I train, and I have dinner. And I do that because I prefer eating big meals. I'm not a snacker. You'll never see me just like, oh, here's a granola bar. It's midday. I'm going to eat a snack. I don't snack. I feast. My
nutrition is not very good. I wake up. I have 1 or 2 cups of coffee. I get to school. I drink 2 more cups of coffee, and sometimes I have a bowl of cereal that we offer the kids for breakfast, Cheerios or Kix mixed together, so not the best options. Eat a bowl of cereal with milk, and then lunchtime comes around, and honestly, my go-to lunch and dinner is a grilled cheese with salami and pickles, dipped in ranch and buffalo sauce.
Didn't you make this for us one time?
I make it for everybody. I'm
sure you did. I think you did for me one time.
It's like really my go-to
with crab in there,
meal.
Right?
That's a different one. That's a different version.
Okay.
Crab is my old go-to. Oh, that's good too.
With pickles on there though, with the crab, I think that'd be fantastic.
I would have to try that. Yeah, I like the salami and pickle. It's like an Italian sandwich.
You introduced that pizza to me. The salami and mushroom.
Salami, onion, mushroom.
Salami, onion, mushroom. It sounds different, but try it.
Oh my gosh.
Me and Taylor love onions. We put onions on everything.
And dip it in garlic sauce. Ooh.
Oh.
So good. Yeah. But yeah, so really, like, that's my go-to. Whenever I need dinner or a snack, I make one of those grilled cheese. So that's really what I live off of. Sometimes for lunch, I have, like, rice. Actually, another go-to at lunchtime is rice with shredded cheese and pepperoni.
Okay, so rice, shredded cheese, and pepper. That's an interesting one.
It tastes like pizza, but it's a little bit healthier because it's on rice.
You could put mozzarella sauce in there, too.
You could. I just don't have it. No. Yeah, sometimes I do, like, there's this guacamole salsa. I put that in there. Oh, it's so good. I have the weirdest taste buds.
Yeah, probably guacamole too. Avocado in there?
Yeah. It's so good. And really, that's what I live off of. I'm planning for the new year. I know everybody does, but I'm planning to eat healthier. I have all these new Tupperware containers, and I'm going to meal prep, and I'm going to make food, because right now it's like last minute. I'm like, oh, I'm gotta go to work. I don't have time to make anything. Oh, I have a thing of rice at work. I'll just eat that. So it's like really last minute, but I need to prepare more.
I was gonna say, you're not a food prepper, are you? Because back when I used to work for people, I used to have to prep my food. And I would do that every Sunday. I would cook my meals.
Well, see, I don't like, my weekends change, so quick. Like, I'll be like, oh, I'm free all day Sunday. I'm going to do laundry, and I'm going to make meals and, pick out outfits for the week, whatever.
And then Haley calls, want to go get drunk?
No, she doesn't. No, Zach will call, and he'll be like, hey, let's go to the Bengals game. I'm like, oh, okay. And then my whole day is gone. Or Sarah will be in town, and she'll say, hey, let's go out and get drunk. I'm like, okay. So really, I can't plan, anything for my weekends because they really get taken up so fast. I just have random friends who, like, come and see me. So it's like, I can't. So anyway, I follow this guy on TikTok who meal preps once a month and then freezes everything.
I've heard of that.
Oh my gosh. He is me to a T.
You need a box freezer for this.
I know.
Yep.
But if I clear out all the old crap in my freezer that is like not good anymore, I'd have room. So I don't know. So that's what I'm going to start with is just making like a few meals, trying my best, even if it's like a weeknight. have one weeknight where I can meal prep,
Right.
you know?
How many meals do you say you probably eat during the day?
2.
You're like me then. You
Yeah.
like feasting, don't you? You don't like snacking.
No, but I don't eat enough, too.
Yeah, no, you don't.
I
don't.
eat way less than I should.
Back before Taylor's accident, she could match me when it came to eating like pizzas and whatnot. After her accident, your appetite has never fully come back. I still think that might be because of some of your medicines that you're on still.
Oh, that could be.
I still think some of those blood. Let's see here. You take one that slows down your heart rate, don't you?
I used to.
You don't take that anymore.
I don't know what my ones now do. I kind of just take whatever they tell me to take. There's one that I take for PTSD, but I actually take it for OCD, but they don't know that.
Your OCD is terrible.
Oh, it's so bad. That's a whole nother topic.
That is definitely a whole. We could bring you on for that topic alone.
Honestly,
OCD,
yeah.
How to conquer OCD? Well, you have.
I don't know how to conquer it. If anybody has any tips, please come to me with OCD. And I also think I have Tourette's because I think half of it is tics for Tourette's. I'm 100% positive.
You just shout out obscene things.
I don't know. It's not the shouting. It's touching and body movements. If any of you know me, you're probably like, what is she talking about? But I hide it really well when I'm in public. So, but if you like spy on me, like in private, I do it so bad. Like one time Haley took a video of me and I'm like throwing my body around and she goes, Taylor, what are you doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know that I was doing it. Oh, you
weren't aware of it?
No, I just do it out of control. It's happening right now.
Did that happen before your accident?
That was, I think, right after. But I've had this before. That's why diving, I was so bad at diving.
Yeah, you would stand on a diving board for a long time.
Yeah, people bullied me because of that. But it was because I was doing these tics and this stupid OCD stuff before I would do a dive. It was so bad. But, yeah, so that's a whole nother topic. I don't even know how. I take a pill for PTSD, but it also is used to treat OCD, so that's why I agreed to take it.
I see.
Because I don't think I have PTSD,
right.
But I do it for OCD.
Now, I'm a big person on like when I tell people, or I always tell people to get second opinions and do their own research on stuff, not be like a sheep. I say to be a sheep to Jesus Christ, but nobody on this earth. That's something I always say. Would you say you are like that when it first comes to your medicine? Like doctors told you to take all this stuff. Did you have any hesitations on that?
I guess not really, just because I knew nothing about heart stuff. And we also didn't know why this happened. So I was like, if it could happen again, I want to take meds to prevent that.
I see that. But I also think, though, back in my history, when I was in 2011, I was diagnosed with low testosterone back then. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know really what any of that was. The doctors wanted to put me on TRT right away. And I said, I need to get a second opinion. I need to read up on this because I was like, I don't even know anything about this. And I spent the next month researching the hell out of testosterone, learning all about it, learning how it's formed in the body, how you can raise it naturally and all that kind of stuff. And I called the doctor back a month later, or it was actually a couple of weeks later. I said, sorry, but I'm going to do this my own way. Mm-hmm. And literally in what was it? It's a year, I think it was. I did a podcast on this, but in a year, I brought my testosterone from 220 to 530, all naturally, by just switching everything because I found out my own ways of doing things. And they wanted to put me on all this stuff that would alter my body forever. TRT was a constant thing that was going to alter it. So for me, it was, yes, I trusted the doctors, but at the same time, that's a big decision to be put on TRT. I was like, at the time I was only 22 years old. So I wanted to do as much as I could to figure out what the hell it was and if I could fix things on my own terms.
Yeah. I think it's a little different just because I feel like that is more serious and I feel like it has more side effects. I'm not 100% positive, but I feel like it affects the body more than just my meds. I think the first one I got put on was just to slow my heart rate. And I was like, well, that's no big deal. I think the only side effect was like weight gain. And I'm like, whatever.
True.
And so it wasn't like too big of a thing.
Now,
I guess.
About your defibrillator, though. Like, what about your defibrillator? Did you have any say in that?
He pretty much said, you're not leaving till you get one. And
I would have walked out those doors.
Stacy agreed. Dad agreed. So I think it was more like I was pushed to do it because everyone else had a say.
You were 18 though, right?
Yeah.
You had your own say then.
But
don't let anybody ever tell you different.
Yeah. But I don't know.
I would have walked out those doors.
I'm fine with having it. I think it's pretty cool. So I was like, if it'll prevent me from dying again, then I'm fine with it.
Do you ever think that maybe if that God is like, God didn't want you to have that defibrillator, like, because now if it's harder for you to die of natural causes. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like a normal person can die in their sleep if they want to, if they need, if God calls them to.
I've learned more about this. Basically, I can never say the word right, but if your heart stops systolically, I know that's not the right word.
Okay.
Basically, when my heart stopped, it was because of a bad rhythm. There was still electricity in my heart, and so my heart technically wasn't completely stopped because there was still electricity going around through my heart.
Electrolytes.
But if your heart stops by old age, or if all the electricity is not in your heart anymore, there's no electricity, your heart does not pump, then my device will not shock me back. It can only shock if it senses that bad rhythm. That's
interesting.
Yeah.
So if God was to call you,
I can go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always wondered about that because I was thinking a lot of shit's happened since then into our family. Ever since then, I'm wondering, if God was like mad at us that you have a defibrillator, but that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Because if it's still, kind of like you think I'm like defying.
Right, defying what. That's what I tell people. God. Like I told people, like one of the reasons I didn't want to go on TRT is because God made us with certain hormonal systems. If I was to go on TRT, I would be literally spitting in God's face, saying, "You didn't program my hormones right. I'm gonna use this injected TRT every month to put my hormones where they should be." Instead of saying, "God made me the way that I should have not been." And like, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say like people should not alter their body in ways like that because God made them a certain way.
But that's also like when I died, do you think they shouldn't have done CPR? It's the same thing.
I know it is. It is
bringing them back to life.
Right. Yeah, it is.
But
I get that. I totally understand.
I think He gave us this. Gave us CPR, gave us all the medicine so that He can like teach us a lesson. But we're still not dead. Like, I think with my accident, with Mom's her cancer, all that stuff, I think a few lessons were taught.
Right. Oh, for sure. There was no doubt about that.
So I think that He does that to, like, knock us in the head, be like, hey,
Right. Slow us down a little bit. Just like with Stacy's accident.
Exactly.
She was all freaking out about circular pretzels.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm going back to the store to get these circular pretzels. And that's when she got in an accident. Yeah. So it's when you start just taking life for granted, I think, is when shit like this happens. Because God always meets you there in the middle and like, that's cool and all, but I've got other plans for you.
Yes. He doesn't want me dead. He just wanted to,
Right. Wake us all up. And it wasn't all just you. He woke us all up with that. Exactly. Your accident was a huge game changer to all of us. Yeah. I mean, I have never fallen down to pray to God harder than I did one of those nights when you were still in a coma, and we didn't even know if you were ever going to get out of it before. Yeah. They thought you were going to have brain damage. And I told God personally, and I literally, I never pray like that, like getting on my knees and stuff, but I was on my bed, and I literally had my hands on my bed and on my knees, and I said, if you need to take any of my life force, or all my life force for that matter, just give it to Taylor and bring her back. And it was the next day I got a call that said you were out of the coma.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know if I have lost some of my life force.
I took 5 years from you.
So, but it literally brought me closer to God than ever, that whole experience, because I felt God that night, like hardcore. I felt His presence in my room, that I was talking to Him personally.
Well, that's when Stacy, when I got the call that she was in the accident, I drove all the way up to Dayton, and I listened on repeat to Big House. Do you not? House.
Wait. Oh, is that one?
And go with me to my father's house. It's a big house. Yeah. So
I know that song. That's a good song.
And Awesome God.
Yep. Oh, I love that song. It's one of my favorites.
I listen to them.
Probably my favorite.
Yeah, me too. I listen to them on repeat the entire hour drive there. There's just like screaming, crying.
There's actually a rap mix. An artist, I can't think of who it is, that does Awesome God, and I have it on my training playlist.
I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's
a
so
real
good.
one.
So now I added it to my music, so now it's at the top of my song. So I'm like, whenever I turn on my music, I'm like, oh, I'll listen to Awesome God one time, and it just like totally brightens my mood. So
wow,
I don't know.
It was quite the experience, though, I think, for all of us.
Definitely.
Well, when we come back, we're going to jump into questions that I have for you,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to go from there. And we're back. So, I have a list of questions I have for you. Now, some of these are kind of deep, and some of them are just kind of, out there, but these are questions I think our listeners would like to know too. We'll get to the listener questioners after mine. First one is, what was your biggest failure in life, and how did you overcome it?
It's a great question.
Because we all struggle, we all fail in life. And one of the things in my book, in my final chapter, I talk a lot about you can never fail if you truly just get back up. As long as you can continue to get back up, you never fail.
I have a good one. I guess this isn't really a failure. It kind of is, but not everybody really knows about it. So I graduated from college in 19, and I finished, got my certificate, but I did not finish with my teaching license. Basically, long story short, my mentor teacher, my senior year, was a terrible, terrible person, and I had a ton of medical problems my last year, and that was also when my brother-in-law and my mom had cancer, and it was just a big, big, tough year, and my mentor teacher was just not caring, not compassionate, the worst person, honestly, ever. And
I remember some of the stories. She did sound terrible.
She was just a monster. And so she prevented me from getting my teaching license, which at the time I thought that was the worst thing that could ever happen. I was I just wasted 4 years of my life and thousands of dollars for nothing. And after I found out that I wasn't going to be getting my license, I still had a month of school left. And so in that last month, we had a job fair with all these public schools that show up, and you have to wear your suit jacket, all this stupid stuff, and do interviews. And I went there just because I had to, and I was like, I don't even want a public school job. I can't even get one because I don't have my license. And it's why am I here? So I was really there just BSing, doing, messing around, doing nothing, taking free food, And I was walking around, and this one table, these two cute little ladies jump out and they say, "Hey, do you want to live by the beach?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I was like, I don't have anything else to do. I'm going to sit down and talk to them. And they were from, I think, South Carolina, this little Montessori school in South Carolina. And they were like, "Do you know anything about Montessori school?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think we talked about it in one of my classes, but I didn't pay attention." And they were like, "Well, let me tell you about it." And they told me all about Montessori teaching and Maria Montessori and how, she taught the kids. And it's a whole cool history. But after that, I was like, I really want to be a Montessori teacher. We really talk about independence with the kids, and we really form a family unit with the kids. And I thought that was just so cool because I get attached to every single kid that I ever talk to.
You get attached to everything.
Exactly. So I'm the idea that it's a family unit really struck me. And so, after the job fair, I obviously was like, okay, well, I'm not moving to South Carolina. I can't take this job. They said, if you ever do, you're hired. I was like, oh, wow. Cool. And so, they were so nice. And so, after that, I had a month left till graduation, and I start researching jobs and applying, and I only applied to Montessori schools. There's not a lot around, but there were
I never heard of them before you started applying to them. That was the first of me ever hearing of them.
There was maybe less than 10 in the Cincinnati area. And I didn't really know where I wanted to live. I had nothing holding me down to anywhere, but I knew I wanted to stay around Cincinnati. And so I ended up finding Terry's Montessori, which is where I work now. And I applied, and they said I didn't have to have a teaching license, and they offered me the job right away, and it is everything that I could have asked for in a job. So I really don't even want to call it a failure, not getting my license, because if I had it, I think I'd be stuck in a public school that I hate.
There was a reason for that.
Yeah, and so like I would have never applied or even thought about Montessori as a school. At which my mentor teacher, looking back, there was a kid in our class who came from a Montessori school before that, and she kept talking bad about her and was like, oh, that's why she acts like that. She's from Montessori school. Wow. And so I only had like these bad thoughts about it in my head. I didn't know what it was. Honestly, I thought it was a church school. I was so stupid. I was like, I don't know what that is.
It sounds like it,
Yeah. And so, so I just had this bad taste because of what this mean lady, told me about it. And, looking back, it's like the best thing that could have ever happened.
Yeah.
So
you love your job.
Love it.
You don't make the most money, but
I don't even mind. I'm like, I make more than a typical preschool teacher, and
that's true. Yeah,
and I love it. So I love my job, and so it's not even a failure. So
that's good. That's real good.
That's one more thing of just being positive about everything. Yep.
Exactly. What do you want to leave as your legacy? So before you answer this, for me, when I left, when I wanted to leave as a legacy was something behind that would kind of be like a name, like you're a legend known for something. That's what legacy comes from. And for me, it was either, I was going to either have a son, an heir to me, or, pass on my knowledge and whatnot to something. So for me, I went the book route. I wrote a book. And I wrote a book to leave as my legacy, to leave 14 years of my knowledge on this earth forever. My ISBN number will always be in here for as long as the earth exists. It will always be in that directory that I'm an author, that I wrote that book and a published author. That was my legacy. So do you have a legacy do you want to leave?
I'm never going to write a book, so that I hate writing. No, I think mine, honestly, if I ever get to that point, will be my kids. I want to have like 5 kids. Like, I would love to be a mom. That's like obviously my biggest goal in life. So, I mean, my mom is my greatest hero. The golden image of a parent is like mom. And so I will strive to be exactly like her. Like, there's sometimes when I'm like, how did mom have so much patience with us? Or how was she so creative, trying to teach us stuff and help us? And like, I just want to be that kind of mom. And hopefully I watched mom enough to be able to do it myself. But I just want to, have tons of kids and teach them to be right,
We had some of the best parents I think somebody could ever have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, both mom and dad taught us and just everything we needed to know. Like we grew up in such a way and in such a time, like not messed up times like they are now. I mean, nowadays, yeah, exactly. I mean, Taylor's going to have a mission to keep her kids online, the way we were raised, if she's going to go that route, because kids nowadays are just raised completely asinine, in my opinion. Yes. I would do things completely, different than the social norm. I mean, yeah. I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast, but if I was to have kids, I think I'd homeschool them nowadays. I honestly do. I mean, I wasn't homeschooled or anything, but public schools are so different nowadays. Teachers,
that's why I don't
teachers
like
go out of line trying to teach your kids, and I mean, think about the stories on TV about the teachers that told some or influenced some kids to be transsexual, and influenced them like that. Like, I would not want any kids of mine to even be anything talked about like that. Like, I think I would raise my kids in a completely different manner.
I definitely agree.
I know for one thing, too, one of the first things I would teach my kids if I was to have kids is the Bible.
Yes.
I think...
Not enough kids are actually taught what the Bible is.
And it's something I wish I would have read the whole thing earlier on in my life. I read it during COVID. When COVID happened, it was my goal. I wanted to read the whole entire Bible. Mm-hmm. And I finished it I've been done with it for about 4 months now, but I read it front to back. I went through the whole entire Bible, and it has some of the biggest lessons and biggest tips to life ever in it. And I have a totally different outlook on life itself since I've read the Bible. Completely different. Like, I feel like I look at things in situations completely different than other people do. Something will be happening, and I'm looking at it in a way that the Bible taught me to look at it. I'm like, totally thinking about it in a different manner. And I also think too, I ask God every night, give me the wisdom, the eyes to see and the ears to hear and a heart to understand your message. It's one of the things I pray every day, because those 3 things I think can give you wisdom to go on through life with a new outlook on things and completely allow you to see them in God's eyes and not the eyes of a normal human. Because humans are flawed. We are flawed creatures. From the very beginning of time, we are flawed. And the closer we can get to being righteous, closest we can get to God, being, like what God preferred us and wanted us to be in the beginning of times, we start to see things in that righteous way. And I think it completely can reprogram somebody. But nowadays, everything is so different. I mean, the metaverse is out there nowadays with Facebook creating the metaverse, people being having online lives. Like, this world is just going to complete shit. Everything's falling apart. And it's something that I think is just, it's going to be a challenge for you to raise kids in this environment.
I know.
I don't know how you're going to do it. I just, it's going to be hard for you. And
well, when I was in high school, I was very rebellious because I didn't like the traditional parenting that, we had. So, very strict. But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, oh, I needed that and my kids will need that too.
Right. And which is interesting because I wasn't restricted. Exactly. I wasn't told what not to do. I was allowed to party.
Well, you're a boy.
I had some of the craziest parties. And
I never drank a drop in high school.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's funny because you came out, but that's just it though. You weren't ruined from that though. You might have rebelled and got that over with. But now you have a professional career. You're very, you're there. And so we all were kind of raised differently. Even Stacy too. She was allowed to do a lot more too than what you were.
Yeah.
Me and Stacy were allowed to do a lot of different things that you weren't even allowed to do.
Yeah.
But I think me and you are very, very mature. Very mature. And we grew up, very good.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back in time to tell your 18-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Don't go run at the UC Rec Center. I'm just kidding. 18. I don't know. I think I feel like I already did this, but I was going to say, don't focus on the drama or what other people think. And I think that's why I was so disliked, because I just said whatever I felt. It was never mean stuff, but at one point I told my friends in high school, I was like, we're gonna grow apart, we're moving all over the country, we're not gonna see each other as much, we won't be as close,
right? And
that was too much for them at the time, and they stopped talking to me for half a year because they were so upset about it. But I was like, it's true, we still talk now and then, but we're not as close. So I'm like, I think I was too honest with them and with people, and I still think I am sometimes.
It's not a bad thing, though.
No.
One of the reasons I love being able to talk to you about realistic things is because we can be honest with each other. Like, me and Taylor have had discussions about what the end of the world's going to be like. Mm-hmm. Our older sister, you bring that up, no, the end of the world's never going to happen. And the other people aren't realists. Like, Taylor is very honest, but it works because you can have conversations that are difficult to have with other people.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like my 18-year-old self was doing good. Maybe focus on school a little more, not social. But
you mean try harder in high school?
I think, high school.
Really?
High school, I really stopped trying.
See, this would be opposite for me. I would say, so for me, it would be nothing or happening in high school will ever matter in the rest of your life. Make the most of it. Have the most fun in your life as you can. And don't worry about grades. Don't worry about any of that, because you're not going to use it. I don't even have a college degree. And I've made it this far. I'm 30 years old and I'm not living on the streets.
True.
I'm not good financially by any means, but I'm also not on the streets. People make such a big deal out of high school. When I was in high school, it was always, you have to try hard. The SATs matter, and all these tests matter. And honestly, they don't. Nothing of that matters. I would say the social part of that, I wish I would have done more social stuff back then, because that's what I miss nowadays. I miss that social, Friday nights going out with friends. Like nowadays, I have some friends I hang out with, but we don't always go out. I think the social status is what I would go back and say, enjoy the hell out of, because you're going to miss this like crazy.
I'm so half and half. Now that you said all that, now I'm like, me too. I miss the social part.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I did really not great in a few classes, because I was just focused on sports and, other stuff.
Uh-huh.
And looking back, I'm like, I could have gotten way better grades. But I'm also like, even if I had better grades, better ACT score, I had bad ACT score and I still got accepted to UC, which is my dream school. So I always wanted to go there. So it's not like even if I got better and got accepted to higher schools, I wouldn't have gone,
True,
So
true.
I'm like, nothing would have changed. So I don't know. That's a good...
Yeah, I also would have told myself to stop being so prideful. Back then, I don't know if you remember, but I was very prideful back in the day.
I don't know that.
Very prideful. And I think I've told this story on my TikTok. I think I told it.
Oh, I think
I got
I've
kicked
heard
off
it.
kicked off the swim team.
Yeah.
I thought I was a very good swimmer. Very, very good. And I felt like I didn't need to practice with the team. I would lift weights before practice, go in after the practice. I just wouldn't give the coaches the respect that they should have had. I was too prideful. And that's one of the reasons I didn't play water polo my senior year or swim my senior year. And it's something I miss. I wish I would have played that senior year water polo.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really wish I would have done because I was a one sport I miss a lot. I miss that.
Interesting.
Okay, and with everything that has happened to you, how has it affected your faith in God?
I feel like we've touched on it a little, but I feel like it's made it stronger. I mean, it was strong before, but not even my heart stuff, but because when things happen to me, I'm very strong and very casual about it. Like, yeah, I died, whatever.
Right.
But when somebody else I know is sick or struggling, I get really upset about it. So I feel like it's given me, I pray way more, I tell myself all the time, I'm living for God, I'm not living for myself. And I try my best to live as he wants me to.
Right.
Now
Now, there are atheists out there that's, we called your thing a miracle that you're still here. And there's atheists at the time, and I remember some of these people, they said, oh, it wasn't God, it was the doctors that saved you. It wasn't God that saved you, it was the doctors. What's your response to those people?
Well, who made the doctors?
Exactly.
And who gave them that knowledge? Who gave all of us the knowledge
Right.
and all the machines and medicine, who gave it to us? It was him.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know what else to say.
And there's also the people that will say, that will use this as an excuse and say, see, there is no God. Why Taylor's such a good person?
Yeah.
Why would all that stuff happen to Taylor? Why? There's lots of people that say that
it's not even about me. Yeah, it happened to me, but it affected so many people. And I know a ton of people who are like, oh, I'm more grateful for my life. And also, another thing is that since then, I've raised thousands and thousands of dollars for the Heart Mini, for the American Heart Association. So because this happened to me, I'm one person, but I've helped save I don't even know how many lives.
You were on TV. You did an interview on TV too. I remember.
Yeah.
Back in college, and I mean, you made awareness to that this wasn't an issue.
Exactly. So I think that it happened to me, but God knew he could do this to me because he knows I'm a strong person and can get through it.
Exactly.
He didn't do it to somebody else who is so weak and so afraid that they couldn't get through it. Like, he knew I could.
Yep.
And so he gave me this,
God gives us things, but he always gives us the tools to get through it.
Yeah. And he knows what we can handle.
Right. He knows exactly what we can handle. He never will give you anything you can't handle.
Exactly.
Or without the tools to handle it.
Yeah.
He'll never put you in a room and give you no way out. He'll always give you one way out.
Yeah. So.
If you had $10 million, how would you spend it?
Dogecoin.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
No, because this is good because you have made a lot of money off crypto.
I have.
And crypto is a big
crypto.
Thing. She loves crypto. I hate crypto. I think it's stupid how you throw money at something that doesn't even. What is crypto?
See,
it doesn't make sense. I know I'm a millennial here, but I don't get crypto.
Funny.
I don't understand it.
I'm so obsessed with gambling and just throwing my money away. I love the casino. So I think crypto is the most like a casino that you can get.
Okay.
So I think that's where my love for it comes.
I mean, you've made quite a bit off crypto.
I
thousands
really have.
of dollars.
I love crypto.
Yeah, you've made thousands of dollars off of it.
So I'd maybe put like $1 million into crypto. Okay.
Okay.
So the $9 million left.
And Doge?
No, I would split it up.
Okay.
All cryptos.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Get some Bitcoin in there.
Yeah, some Bitcoin would grow fast.
I see Bitcoin, since it's an asset that doesn't appreciate, like, there is only a certain amount of Bitcoins. There's never going to be more than those Bitcoins out there. Unlike Dogecoin, which I think like 10,000 get harvested every minute.
Yes.
But from what I understand, Bitcoin, I could see possibly going to crazy, $500,000 a coin, in the future. It's possible.
It definitely could. So I think I would put a lot of it there. And then I would split some up to my family. So congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to say that they would do the same.
For sure.
Millions of dollars.
Oh, for sure.
And then, of course, my best friend, Haley, we always said that if we won the lottery and it was like more than $1,000, we would split it.
Okay.
I don't know why. We just said that once. Hopefully she still is following that bet or that deal, but whatever. So, and she would get some, of course. And then I think I would invest and donate a lot of it. I think I would buy like, new shoes, new clothes. That would be like a couple thousand.
Right. People don't understand how much $1 million is. It's a lot of money.
It's a ton. So,
I've told Taylor this, like, I've done the math how much money, if I was to retire today, what I'd need. I need $825,000. That would last me for the rest of my life. Not even $1 million for my lifestyle. So it shows how much $10 million really is.
Yeah. I'd probably like get a new phone and a new laptop. Oh, buy a house. Oh my gosh. I need a house. I have so much crap. I can't shove it in an apartment. I would start a real estate company. I would love to do real estate.
I would too. That was my goal eventually to get into.
I wouldn't blow it. I would go to the casino with a little bit, but not. I'm just not. Not all of it. But I think being smart with it, saving and giving it away. Tithe some, give it to my old church, my new church.
I would build a new church. I would start another church.
That's a good idea.
That's what I would do.
That'd be smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've always wanted to build a church where half of it's a church, half of it's a gym.
Oh,
I've always wanted to do that. I've always wanted. It's a dream for me.
That's a really good idea.
I want to do that.
Well, yeah. So definitely not be like greedy.
And I want to name it like Warriors of God.
Oh,
and hire a pastor
cute.
And everything. And yep.
I like that a lot. Good idea.
So if anybody has money that's listening to this, there is a donate button on my Instagram.
I have Venmo. T Fausey, TFAUSEY. I'm accepting. That's funny. Yeah.
Okay. How do you think the world will look in 50 years from now?
Oh.
Will it even be here in 50 years?
I honestly don't know if it'll be here. If it will be, I think it'll be run by robots. There will not be any jobs. I think it'll just, be pointless to live. Like, it won't be fun anymore. Too much social media, you know. I don't know. I think it'll be a mess.
I think so too, completely. And that brings up another question. Like, I've talked about this, and some people know my opinion on this. Do you think we're in the end times? The 7 years of tribulation.
It's a good question. I feel like it seems like that, but I also think it might seem like that because the media and everything is making you so afraid, and there's so much social media and conspiracy theorists out there who are like, oh, look at this. Right. And I'm like, what about if we had that, 20 years ago?
Now, there are some signs, though, I do want to bring up, like, so in the New Testament, Jesus, he actually is real open with his disciples. There's a part where his disciples ask him what the end of times will look like. Mm-hmm. And Jesus refers to birthing pains that a woman goes through. Now, when a woman has a baby, birthing pains get more and more frequent. They don't necessarily get worse as it comes closer to the pregnancy, but they get frequent. The frequency of them goes up. Like they'll get contractions here, as the baby comes. So Jesus referred to the end times. There will be natural disasters, more sicknesses, more viruses, and they're going to not get worse, but they're going to come more frequently. Now, notice how there's so much. I don't know if you've looked at any of these charts, but I have. The natural charts of hurricanes and natural disasters like earthquakes and how often they're occurring. In the past 5 years, they have over 50% increased in frequency in the past 5 years. All of that, from sicknesses to hurricanes, tornadoes, everything natural disaster-wise that Jesus could have been referring to, and also disease-wise, COVID, all these new strains, they get more and more frequent.
Yeah.
There are things leading me to think we may be coming into that tribulation time.
We could be. I don't know.
I mean, like Jesus says, not even the Son knows. Only the Father knows.
I was going to say, I don't think
angels
anybody
know.
knows.
Only God knows. Only the Father knows. But it is interesting, though, because Jesus, here's another thing, though, too. People will say, like, don't try to predict the end of the world. And I agree with that. But I also agree, don't be naive to the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Because Jesus says, keep your eyes open, because this will happen. He tells his disciples that the end times will be there, and you know from me to be aware of these things. There's a reason he told them that. Not to just discount it like, oh, we're going to live forever. We're just going to live on this earth, and the earth's going to be, take everything for granted. Jesus doesn't want us to take things for granted. He wants us to live one.
And everybody's doing that right now.
Right.
Take everything for granted.
Exactly. So. People make a big deal out of things that should be little deals.
Exactly.
And little deals out of things that should be big deals.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. I do want to bring that to, just to make people think a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a mess.
I think
it
so
already
too.
is.
I do too. I think it's going to get a lot worse to begin.
Yeah.
Yep. Before. Yeah. Real quick though, are you I don't know if you know, like, are you a pre-rapture or pre-tribulation rapture believer or a mid-tribulation?
What is that?
So the rapture happens in our Christianity. Some people believe the rapture, which is the taking of God's people. God will take those people off the earth so they don't suffer the consequences of Revelations. Because there's a lot of bad things that happen in Revelations in the tribulation period. And some people believe, and I'm one of those people that believe, the rapture will happen before the tribulation. I used to believe the rapture was going to happen mid-tribulation, but then I thought about it and I realized, why would God have his loyal, faithful followers go through half of that tribulation period before getting raptured? It just didn't make sense to me. That's why I became a pre-tribulation rapture person, where I believe Jesus or God will return, take his believers, and leave those others through the 7 years of tribulation to fall to him, because they are going to be in so much pain and agony that they have to come to God, and the ones that don't come to God will be thrown into the eternal fire.
That's a great question. I've never thought about that. I don't know. I feel like there's some people who he would take because he doesn't want them to see it.
Uh-huh.
I think to like Bob Elliott.
Yeah.
Like the sweetest angel gem in the entire world,
Right.
And he's still here.
Uh-huh.
He's 101.
101.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's the kindest soul you've ever met.
He's healthy too. He walks everywhere.
And
you would never guess this guy's 101.
So I'm like, the fact he's still here during all of this, I don't know.
Well, I don't think the tribulation has started yet. I think the tribulation is going to start within the next probably year and a half, if I had to predict it. Year and a half to 2 years. I think personally, viruses and stuff are going to get worse and worse. From looking at just basing this off science, looking at the charts online, showing the frequency of how things are happening, just basing it off that, because I trade stocks and whatnot too on the side, and I read charts and I refer to charts on where the stocks will go and whatnot. So for me, when I look at those charts showing that the frequency of all this stuff continues to go up and up, I would say maybe 2 to 3 years, somewhere in there, the tribulation will begin.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he wouldn't put some people through that.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thought too. I believe he also, though, I mean, it is said in tribulation in Revelations, he'll bring 2 witnesses back, which I believe is Elijah and Enoch. Bring those people back and have them be the 2 witnesses that is mentioned in Revelations, to be the 2 preachers that's supposedly in Revelations it spoke of these 2 people will have powers from God to be on this earth. But
interesting.
So it is. Revelations, if you've never read Revelations, I recommend reading it. It's the first book I read in the Bible. It's the first one I read, and then I went from there, read the rest of it.
It's the one I want to read the most, so I'm like, maybe that is where I should start.
It is fascinating. You'll really enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your biggest challenge? We answered that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your dream job?
Be a stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home.
But I also don't know if my kids will fulfill all of that. That sounds bad, but like I love meeting new kids and seeing new personalities and forming the bond with new kids.
Exactly. You're more of a people person than I am.
Kid. I don't like adults too much. I can't talk to people.
But you're a lot more extroverted than myself. And I
Maybe.
think you might get bored of being a stay-at-home mom because, like, I work from home and I leave the house to go to the gym and I'm completely content. Some people say they'd go crazy with my lifestyle, but I'm content with this. I literally love what I do right now. This is absolutely fantastic.
I'm like so half and half. I'll have a week where I don't see anybody except my like school people, and I'm totally fine with that. And then I'll go a week where I'm like, oh, I want to see my friends. I miss them, you know. So I'm so half and half. I don't know.
I'm the person that could move to an island, and as long as I have everything I need there, I'd be fine. I'd be completely content. Or
I don't know.
Or move into like a nice woods with like a castle or what.
See, if I'm a stay-at-home mom, I can do more Poshmark. I can do more creative stuff by myself.
Right.
You know.
But just knowing your psychology, though, I wondered if you would get.
But if I have my nights open, I can go party it up.
Right.
You know.
Yep. True.
But I have kids, so. I don't know. I've always said stay-at-home mom would be my dream
It's interesting because you said you love the medical field, so I thought you'd pick something medical.
Ugh, that's too much work.
Okay.
I would love to be like...
It's funny because my dream job is way more work than I do now. Criminal investigator. I love that kind of thing, and I would...
That was always my dream, too.
But I just don't have
the... splatter analysis.
I would like that, too. Yeah. We're both big fans of Dexter. Dexter is one of our favorite shows. But criminal investigation is something I love. But the reason I didn't go on that is because you need so much schooling for that. Yeah. And it's just, for me... I don't have a big work ethic when it comes to stuff like
you
that.
You don't say.
And so I knew for me that would be a bad investment to go that route. So there are certain things you just have to come to terms with, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I always thought maybe nursing, but
I can see. Yeah. Well,
it's so much work. I don't know.
You'd make like twice as much as you make now.
See, I like seeing kids too much, but I couldn't be a kid doctor because seeing them in pain would just break my heart.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
What are do you have any New Year's resolutions? I'm not the biggest fan of them because I hear people say, oh, I'm going to do this and this, and then they stop doing them.
They're the same every year, and they're more goals, just goals to, like, better myself. I make, like, a financial goal, how much money I want to have by the end of the year, how much I want to try to make, you know, with all my side jobs, you know, every month. And then I guess goals are just more, like, staying on focus with like my working out and, you know, more, you know, praying and being more grateful for things and like taking note of exactly what those things are.
Okay.
And eating healthy. I need to eat better.
Not Chick-fil-A all the time.
No, I'm fine with 1 or 2 Chick-fil-A's a week. But besides those meals, I need to eat better and more. Because I don't eat enough.
You need to get your
metabolism. But I get so full. Ugh. Yeah. So,
like I said, though, I think that's medication wise.
I know. It's really just the basic resolutions, you know, eating and working out.
Right.
That's it. Oh, I really want to be on time to work more.
See,
that's a big goal of mine. If you know me, you know I'm late to everything.
And I've given people advice on this podcast to be late to things. Because I have a mentality, when you're late to the party, you control the party. When you're late to something, you control it. It's in your control. If you are always on time to everything, people will always think that of you and expect that of you. And when that doesn't happen, you seem like you're on the small of the totem pole.
Yeah.
But when people are used to you being late to everything, they're like, oh, nothing of it. He's late. And maybe that's why I don't have a job right now, because I think like that. But that's my mentality. I don't like people thinking that they can just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it, because I'm not that person. I'm not going to be. Yeah. I can be stubborn.
Well, I've been told before that when I'm late, it's viewed as like disrespectful. Zach told me that, and I'm like, it's not that I'm being disrespectful. It's that I literally cannot get out of my house on time. And it's a big part of my OCD. Like, I'm constantly touching things, or I'm like, oh, I forgot to unplug this, when I know for a fact that I did. And like, you know. And
it's interesting, because if I was to hire somebody for my business to help me out, would I hire the person that shows up on time to the interview, or the person who shows up late?
On time.
I'd hire the person that comes late.
Why?
Because that guy is showing that he does not let other people just tell him what to do. He stands up for himself. And I want somebody that works for me with that warrior mentality. I don't want somebody that I'm just going to say, do this and he's going to do it. I need somebody that's going to be honest. And when there's something that he doesn't feel like he should be doing or whatnot, he should talk back to me and say why and present his points. I'm a different kind of boss and leader than other people are out there. I really am. If somebody would work for me, it's completely the opposite of how you were raised to work, because I want people that work like me. And it's a different mentality if you know me in person. I'm not the best worker, but I can get things done though. I'm not the best worker, but everything I do gets done. I mean, it's just a different mentality I like. Well, we're going to take a little small break, but when we come back, we're going to start the Instagram Q&A. We're also going to check our phone, see if there's any more questions that came in while we were waiting. But we're going to go from there. And we are back. So last night, I put out on my Instagram and also Facebook a couple different ways you can post questions to us. One was anonymously, and other was through Instagram. And also Taylor posted on her Instagram too for a couple questions. So we got about, I think it looks like 12. I think I counted that right, 12 or 13 questions. So we're just going to go through these. The first one, are you single?
That's a great question. Technically I'm single, but kind of not.
I have to interrupt here. I have to interrupt. When I was a kid, when I was younger, there was either you were dating or you were not dating. There was none of this talking where you're holding hands, making out, maybe doing the deed, and you say, oh, it's complicated. We're not dating. Like, this is what kids do nowadays. Like, am I just, like, that old?
Yes.
Like, I don't understand this talking mentality.
So there's a boy, and we we dated almost a year. It was 4 days shy of a year. So New Year's Eve last year, we broke up, and our anniversary is January 3rd. So we've actually been broken up officially. Tomorrow will be 1 year officially broken up. Since then, we've been on and off talking, working on it. So, in a Ross and Rachel situation, are you on a break? That's a good question. It is exactly a Ross and Rachel situation. Yes.
So, do you agree with Ross, though? Are you on the side of Ross or Rachel for that
situation? Maybe Ross. I don't know. It switches back and forth. So, technically, yes, I'm single, but working on things.
I say bullshit. You are in a serious relationship that probably will be married within the next 6 months, is my guess. And probably pregnant, too, within the next 3 months.
Oh, I'd love to be pregnant now. We're not boyfriend-girlfriend, though. We're not official.
You guys were sitting on the couch, holding hands. And our nephews even think you guys are dating, too.
Our nephews are annoying. All right, next question.
I call that complete bullshit. There's no way that is single. There's no way in what world you are single.
It is.
Will you ever get your defibrillator removed?
That's a great question, too. I don't know. We've asked the doctor, and they all say no, just because since we still don't know why it happened, we all really like this safety net on me. And
except me, I'd be all for you getting it out.
I know, but the only reason before that I wanted it out was so that I could work out like normal. I could lift weights and be active. And now that it's moved to my side and I can do that, now I'm like, I really don't care. It's just like aesthetically ugly.
I was going to say, aesthetically though, isn't it bugging you?
I don't really care. I don't really care how I look, so I'm fine with this huge lump in my side.
Right.
It looks disgusting, but I don't really care as long as I can work out. So I'm fine with it. It's a cool safety net to have. So as of now, no, I'll keep it in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When you died, did you see heaven?
We already answered, but no, I did not.
Your hair looks amazing. Please tell us your tips.
Thank you to whoever said that. But I can tell you, I have very few tips, and you're probably not going to follow them. My first tip is shampoo and conditioner. Use Suave. Suave, I will repeat.
I spoke on it before.
Good. Yeah, it's...
Because I also use it.
Cheap, and you probably are going to tell me, oh, there's so many chemicals that hurt your hair. But, you look at my hair and you can't tell. So I'm just going along with it. I don't want to spend money on hair stuff.
I'm the same way.
It literally will go right down the drain. Get it?
I like what you did there.
I just
like
thought of that.
I like that. That's good.
Oh, I swear I'm funny. So Suave and the Moroccan oil Suave is the best one. And then I occasionally will use Moroccan oil on the ends of my hair. Not the expensive stuff. I used to use that and I cannot afford that. So now I just use, I think it's like Garnier or something. I don't know. I use that just occasionally when my hair's feeling dry, like mostly in the winter. And then cut your hair yourself. Don't even spend money on cutting your hair. Just cut it yourself.
I've told people that. That's one of the reasons why I told them when it's long like that, you can cut it yourself.
Exactly. It's so easy. And it's so therapeutic, actually. Like, I love cutting my hair. If I'm having a bad day, just go cut your hair. Oh, it's so nice.
Now, when you cut your hair, how do you do it?
I used to bring it to the front on both sides and just even it out. But now I found on TikTok where you lean over
the unicorn.
And you hold it. Yeah, hold it at the unicorn. Yeah, because it cuts in a V, and that's how I naturally like my hair.
I do something similar, but I do it the bearded technique. I go under my chin
and
put it under here. And that way, and clip through there. It also gives it a V look too.
Yeah, and then you can do layers with the unicorn too. You just don't grab all your hair.
Yeah. See, I like it. I don't like layers because it's just too messy to maintain. I like keeping all of my hair probably one length.
I like layers because it's lighter. It's less heavy on my head.
Right.
I like the layers.
Yeah, layers if you have too many layers when you tie it back, stuff's going all over the place.
I know.
That's why I keep it all
That's
probably
one.
Bangs
suck. Also cardio. Cardio will grow your hair. It does. So. Take a run. It does.
I don't do cardio.
Okay.
And my hair grows
Get your heart rate up.
Okay. I was gonna say I lift weights.
But my heart rate doesn't go up by lifting weights. I have to run to get my heart up. So
high protein grows good.
I see high protein, yes, but I don't eat protein because I don't eat healthy. So eat some protein. I bet it'll help.
How fast does your hair grow though? I know you have long hair, but
my bangs grow like crazy.
Okay.
I don't know. My hair's been the same length for years. Well, I cut it 2 summers ago.
Okay.
Pretty short, and it's grown back real fast since.
Right.
So
I cut mine on Halloween above my chest, and it's now below my chest again. You know? So I get that completely.
Oh, and don't dye your hair. I know girls are always like, oh, I want this color hair. Just if you don't dye it, it'll get so healthy. I don't dye mine. I've dyed it 3 times. I dyed it blue and purple and pink for diving, and then I dyed it brown once in college. And besides that, I don't dye my hair.
Yeah, and natural hair for the win. Natural hair
it's so much healthier than everybody else whose hair they dye.
No, I'm personally a fan of only shampooing once or twice a week at the most. What's your
I do
on
every other day. I have to because my hair. I mean, those kids get their snot in my hair, and I sweat so bad that I touch my hair and it's gross. So I do it every other day. And it's perfect for that.
I condition every other day, but I wash it. I actually only shampoo it maybe one time a week. If I shampoo too often, I looks all fluffy.
Well, and if I shampoo without condition, I have horse hair, so it feels so rough. I have to condition.
That's interesting.
Because I have to condition, it gets so greasy, so I have to shampoo.
Okay. Did you know too? I found this out not too long ago. I was doing a little bit of research, but if you can actually train your head to produce less oils over time. Like when I first started, I tried it out because I read about it online. How shampoo to less makes your hair more voluminous, but better, and just handles better. So when I first started it, my hair would get real oily, really fast. But now since I've built up to it, it doesn't get that oily. It's amazing actually how my head is adjusted to that less shampooing. When it builds up to it. Well,
I if I don't shower, I do body showers, and so when I'm just doing a body shower, my hair can get wet around the edges.
Okay.
And then that makes it like greasier faster because it gets wet, and then I don't blow dry it, so then it's all, matted down. I don't know.
Right.
So I enjoy my every other day shower.
And you're also a fan of not blow drying too, right?
Cotton
shirt is the technique I use.
used to be a huge person on no blow drying cotton shirt, but I have to get ready so fast.
Oh, I see.
Because a lot of times I fall asleep at night without showering because I hate showering, so I like put it off and then I'm like asleep, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh crap, I have to hurry up and shower, and so I'm rushed. I have to blow dry. Sometimes I go to work with hair wet and I just braid it.
Yeah.
But
that was a game changer for me. The cotton shirt and letting it dry without a blow dryer. Like all of a sudden, my hair was like, "Holy crap, this looks awesome!"
I know it's harder to do in the winter because I'm so cold.
Yeah, I wear
Summer,
like
it's
a
nice
beanie,
you just go
a beanie,
outside.
or I put my hood up too.
I don't like wet hair touching me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm really weird. But yeah, so not many tips, but pretty basic.
We're pretty old fashioned when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Where am I, Taylor? Help me out here.
What's my favorite food?
Okay, what's your favorite food?
I always say steak and potatoes, but I love cheese. Oh my gosh. And put cheese on top of anything I'll eat it.
Most people will say like an actual food and you're like, cheese. I like cheese.
I mean, literally like cheese cubes, cheese sticks, shredded cheese. Put that on my grilled cheese. Oh my gosh. Put cheese in your soup. Cheese in your soup. Or cheese pizza. Anything with cheese. Which I think I'm lactose intolerant, so...
Oh my gosh.
So it's a good favorite food. Yeah.
You're quite the human.
I know.
Will you ever bring back Fausey time?
I would love to.
For those of you that don't know, we did a YouTube show back in the day called Fausey Time. I don't even know if it's still out there. I don't know if I have them public right now or not, because I'm revamping my YouTube channel, so I doubt that they're public. But we had done a comedy show back in the day, and we left it on. We were coming back after Christmas for the Mexican Fiesta. Remember that?
And we didn't pick it up after that?
We never picked it up. That's where we left off. Something had happened
gosh.
where we stopped, I think.
I don't remember.
Something happened there. It was like I was a sophomore or something, I think, when we had done that. But I can't remember.
I don't know. Weird.
Your favorite movie or TV series?
I'm mostly a TV watcher, not so much movies. I love like Harry Potter, of course. And any psychological thriller. So like all the Saw movies. Oh, so good. I love Interception. Oh my gosh, what's it called? There's two movies I'm thinking of.
Space one?
The one with space.
Okay.
With that one guy. Matthew McConaughey.
What the hell is that?
Interstellar.
Interstellar. That's what it is.
And then also Inception with Leo DiCaprio.
Inception's good.
I love the mind movies, you know. Oh my gosh. Identity. It's like a psychology movie. It's so good.
Huh. Interesting.
TV shows I'm not so deep with. I love Family Guy and Big Mouth. If you haven't seen Big Mouth, let me put you on to something. It is like the funniest show ever. After Family Guy. Family Guy is number 1, Big Mouth number 2.
Okay then.
Real people shows, not animated. I like How I Met Your Mother. What else? Friends,
How I Met Your Mother. Those both are really good shows.
Oh, Seinfeld, so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, another animated, King of the Hill. I'm speaking on my rednecks, but King of the Hill, let me tell you, that show is so good. And that's about it.
we grew up on that show, that's for sure. I remember Dad would watch it, getting ready for work and whatnot, and we were raised on some weird shows. I remember.
It's so good though.
Yeah, for sure. You brought up Harry Potter. I know you're a Harry Potter fan.
Yes.
Have you ever checked out the Witcher series? It's very similar to Harry Potter. I have not. Very similar. Is it? Yeah, it's very similar. I've always thought you might be interested in it.
I'll have to try it.
Okay, what's your opinion on the current government status?
I have a lot to say. Not sure if I should say
You
it.
can say it because 92% of my listeners are conservatives.
Well, then I will say, let's go, Brandon. And F. Joe Biden. Yeah, I haven't always been a Trump fan. I actually watched
I know you weren't.
I watched
remember
my
this.
live Facebook from sophomore year of college, right before the elections with Hillary and Trump.
I remember this.
And somebody on my Facebook Live asked me and Haley, said, who are you voting for, Trump or Hillary? And I went off and I was like, Hillary's so stupid, so I don't want to vote for her, which I still agree on. And then I said, but Trump is so mean and disrespectful. But now that's a quality that I really love.
Yeah, that's what we need in a president.
Exactly.
He kept the peace. He kept the peace.
And he fought for us. I think he truly loved America, and he still does.
There's no doubt. He was the hardest working president I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
no doubt the hardest working I've ever seen in my life.
I truly love Trump. Biden, he doesn't know that he's a president. I don't think he knows what his job is to do.
He's a puppet. He's the puppet, and there's a puppet master behind the strings.
Kamala. She's just an idiot. Her laugh is just the worst, and I cannot stand anything she stands for. So, let's go, Brandon.
And here's the thing: what I said I think I mentioned this last week on the Q&A podcast. But as bad as Biden is, we need Biden to stay these last years because we can't have Kamala come in.
No, we can't let anyone who's under him come up.
Exactly. It'd be a bad situation.
I'll put up with Sleepy Joe for a little while longer.
Yeah, exactly. As long as nobody kills him or anything, or
exactly,
he can just be the puppet. As long as he doesn't do too much.
Yep.
Hopefully, we can get a Trump back in office then. Some type of Trump,
exactly.
or even like Kayleigh McEnany, or Candace Owens.
I like Candace Owens.
I would vote for any of those people.
Yeah.
I mean Donald Trump Jr.
Oh my gosh,
fantastic.
I would love that.
He's an amazing president. Honestly, I mean, Elon Musk has kind of touted the thing. I'd vote Elon Musk. Elon Musk has been touting that too.
Oh my gosh.
He'd think about running for president. And
Republican?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He used to not be a Trump supporter, but he hates the whole Biden government.
I didn't know
He hates
that.
it with all the tax increases. That's why he sold a shit ton of Tesla stock before the capital tax gains. Because remember the capital tax gains go in next year. So if you make more than $400,000, you're being taxed 45%. So Elon Musk wanted to sell a bunch of his Tesla stock to take a bunch. He still had to pay $11.5 billion in taxes, but he would have had to pay a lot more had he done it next year. That's one of the reasons he sold a lot of his stock this year, because he wanted to take some home with him, because he didn't want to be taxed that crazy amount.
I only listen to Elon when he's talking about Dogecoin.
He's an interesting character.
I like him. He's funny.
He's very interesting. I sometimes think he's not human.
Yes, not at all.
Just because he acts very different.
Oh my gosh, watching him on SNL, it's the first time I've ever actually seen him talk.
Oh, you've never watched him talk?
Never.
Oh, wow.
Well, I guess I watched him when he introduced the Cybertruck.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And to me, that doesn't seem like the same person in my head. He seemed more fluent with the Cybertruck.
Uh-huh. SNL was great.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
The things he was doing with his hands.
I kept asking Zach. I was like, "Is he acting?" And he was like, "No, I think that's how he talks."
That's how he talks. That's how he always talks.
Crazy. He's so cool.
He's pretty awesome.
I love him.
What's some of the life advice you have?
Kind of already talked, but I don't know. Just to be positive and live for God and let go and let God when you can't take something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your favorite music to train to?
Muscle.
Or what's
muscle
your favorite
train.
muscle to train?
Yeah, when I read it, I thought it said music too. Your favorite muscle to train? I used to love training back the most.
Me too. I love back days. I love back days.
It makes me feel so strong.
Same here. And I love how you can hit it from all kinds of angles.
Yes.
From pull downs.
There's so many different options.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You can really.
And I love how it looks when a girl has like a toned back.
Yeah. A good back in general is just an amazing feature to have. It can make the smallest guy look like a superhero. And I tell people that. That's why I tell people to develop back. It's so important. Mm-hmm. On top of that, though, what's your favorite music to train to?
Yeah.
That was actually a good question.
That is good.
That's good.
I honestly don't listen to, I don't have like a specific album.
Uh-huh.
I have a running album, but I don't listen to it unless it's I'm in a race, like the 5K Heart Mini or something. And that's just like my hyped music, which it's still not even hype. It's just stuff with a good beat.
I have certain stuff I only use on leg days. Yeah. That's certain hype.
I mean, honestly, everything. I can listen to country. I can listen to my rap. Oh my gosh, my oldies. So that really makes me.
We were driving home from Cincinnati, and there's a polka song that comes on, and then from that goes into rap from Taylor's playlist. I'm like, I'm not the only one, because literally my playlist is the same exact type of things. It's like completely random stuff.
Yeah.
People have like a music type. I like anything with a good beat. I think Taylor's the same thing.
Yeah.
She likes anything with a good beat.
Yes. Honestly, people have always told me I have the best music taste because it's all over.
Yeah,
like
it's all over the place. Just
literally
like
everything. But I do have I was telling Sean, I have my final running song that I always finish a run to, and that is MGK's version of Sail. Oh my gosh, it's on SoundCloud. If you haven't heard it, look it up because it slaps.
I wish it was on Spotify.
Oh my gosh.
Because it should be. It should be
it's
on Spotify.
So good.
It's good. I agree. It is really good. What's your favorite alcoholic beverage?
I'm the basic girl. I go with a vodka cran. When I'm at the bar, I do vodka cran.
You're a beer drinker too.
I love beer. If I drink like vodka or something, or something other than beer, it's vodka cran usually. My favorite shots are green tea shot, or there's one called a dirty bong water, I think. Oh my god, it's been a while since I've had it. It's so good. But the green tea shot, and then my one friend likes Vegas bombs. I hate them, but when she buys shots, that's what she gets, so I drink them. And then beer. I like Budweiser.
I wish you all could have seen Taylor's face. It was fantastic. She looks at the mic and says, Budweiser, and then just stops.
I like a good Corona and lime, too. Blue Moon, I actually hate.
I'm not a huge fan of it either. I drank it a lot.
It.
I drank it a lot in the earlier days, but I don't drink it anymore.
I don't know. I'll drink anything if you put it in front of me.
Yeah, that's true. She will, and she'll outdrink you too. She outdrinks me too. I don't drink like I used to. I'm more of a marijuana user myself nowadays, but I like a cold beer. But Taylor, she can drink anybody under the table.
I can. What was I going to say? My newest drink that I've been on this winter is a hot. No.
The one you made?
Hot scotch. It's hot chocolate with butterscotch schnapps.
And
very good.
And when it looks like you're making it, it looks like you're mixing up like some type of drug or something.
It doesn't.
It really does.
Oh, gosh. It's really good. You should try it. Butterscotch, hot chocolate. Yum. But I'll drink anything.
Okay. Tell us a drunken story.
Okay, you know the one I'm going to tell.
Okay.
It's my favorite. It's honestly, whenever I start drinking, this is what I think of. My 21st birthday, we all had just gotten back from the bars, and I think I was the only one who still was wound up, ready to go, and ready to party.
You think you were? You were.
I was. Everybody else was ready for bed, and I was so pumped up still. I don't even remember what led me to do this, but I said something like, I'm going outside, or something, and so I go out, and in our apartment, there's a big window in my living room, and if you look out and like somebody is walking along the side of the building, it looks like somebody's like going down, because there's like 5-6 steps that lead down in the middle of the window. And so if somebody's like walking down, it looks like they're slowly getting lower. So I go out there. Everybody's in the living room. They look out the window, probably because they hear me screaming, and they just see me sprint and just drop. I like sprinted. I don't know why I wanted to, but I just sprinted towards the stairs and didn't stop. And I just fell like 5 feet onto cement. And I woke up. Well, okay, I said I was like dying, but I think I just had scrapes on my knees and ankles. But I thought I was dying because I was bleeding.
The other view to that was me in the living room. I see Taylor literally say, I'm going to jump down these stairs. And she literally leaps off of it. I see her body flop by the window. I'm like, what just happened to Taylor?
Oh, it was so fun.
But before that, though, you ran off into your other room and yelled upstairs something obscene.
I do this every time I drink. I say, I say, my butthole is throbbing. gosh, I started that with my friend Brian Weddleman. He came down to visit once, and we were playing like Truth or Dare or something. And Haley or either him or Haley dared me to go shout that off my balcony, and so I did it. So now every time I drink, I say it. So that's also a fun.
Oh my gosh. The walk home from the bar that night, I remember. And that was...
I fell then, too. I tried to jump on someone's back, and I fell.
You fell on a bush. You fell on the sidewalk. And you also fell in the middle of the road. I helped you. I picked you up.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, it was fun.
Will the Bengals win a playoff game finally?
That was a great question. I think the Bengals can, they're so good. I don't think their record shows how good they are, because I've been to 2 Bengals games this year and I've watched almost all of them on TV, and I think they're so much better than their record says. I don't know why, but I think they will win. They're so good. I love the Bengals.
I will say, I stopped watching football, I think, back when I was in college or whatnot. I just didn't care for it anymore. But this year, the Bengals are really good. I mean, they're fun to watch. They actually kick ass this year.
My trio that I love, I call them Jamari JoJo.
Yeah.
It's Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. Yeah. They're like, the dream team.
Yeah, they're all very good. They're very good.
Love them.
I really hope they make it to the Super Bowl. That'd be amazing.
That'd be awesome.
Do you think they can?
I don't know.
Watch it yourself?
I don't know. I want them to. I don't know. I will say, though, with the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, we are going to win the championship. We're going to win. We're going to win it all. We play tomorrow. I think most of you will already probably know the results when you listen to this.
This comes out this next Wednesday.
So you'll know these results of this game. But tomorrow, Alabama and UC play, and I think UC will kick their butts.
So we'll see if this age will age as well.
Exactly. Well, Alabama sucks. The only reason they're up there is because they bring in a lot of money, and it's all politics.
Oh, yeah. The whole thing is politics.
So I don't know. I think Alabama really sucked this year. I can't believe they were ranked number 1. So I think we are going to own them. And then I think Michigan will win their game. And I want UC to win against Michigan, because that will really make Ohio State fans
that's going to ignite
really upset,
that's
because
going to ignite some fuel.
They lost to Michigan.
Yeah, that's going to
Ohio State sucks. Lost some fans there, but
they're clicking off.
I know,
because I know I have lots of Ohio State listeners.
Oh my gosh, they're all right. The fans are just so annoying. Sorry, but so I think UC could honestly win it all. They're so good. So
I believe it.
That is my football talk.
I've seen UC play too, and I mean they're impressive. They're very impressive this year.
Good.
For the past couple of years, they've been pretty good. Pretty decent.
Last year and this year, undefeated season.
Yeah. So those are the questions from our Instagram Q&A. We're in the little wrap-up section now, because we are running on about 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Sorry.
This actually is the longest podcast now. Well, I expected this to go long. I mean,
yeah.
I knew this episode would. But I like to wrap up, and I started every podcast has a set of questions that they ask every guest that's on. So the 1Warrior signature question that I'm going to be asking people, and asking you too, what's 3 warrior tips you have that you can pass on to our fellow warrior listeners as they go through their life?
Interesting. What are your tips?
My tips would be, number 1 would be trust God on everything.
Okay.
2 would be never to give up. If you have a dream, have a drive, never give up. And my 3rd one that I would give to people, think always 10 steps ahead. And I talk about that a lot in my book. There's so many things you could fix in your life if you thought just 10 steps ahead on that situation before you acted on the scenario. And that thinking 10 steps ahead, or at least 5 steps ahead in any scenario, big decision, will always help have you pick the better decision in the long run. Very
true. Interesting. I feel like some of ours are kind of the same. I was going to say, just let go and let God. I've obviously said it before, but like, If you can't control things, you got God. He has you.
Right.
And he loves you. He'll take care of you. Second thing, I think is also like your second thing. You said,
never give up.
Never give
you
up.
Got drive?
Mine was everything will get better. Like one of my favorite things is God is greater than the highs and the lows. Like no matter how low you are, it'll get better. You just have to stick with it and pray, and everything will always get better.
God is good all the time.
And all the time, God is good.
Amen.
Exactly. And then my last one is also a verse. Be still and know that I am God. I don't know. When I get like really upset or angry, I always try to take a breath and be calm.
I thought I had that on.
I think you do. I bought it for you.
I was trying to find it.
It might be in the other room.
Oh, it's probably in the other room.
But that's like when I have it posted above my bed, because whenever I get like anxious or freaked out or scared or anything, I just take a breath and I be still and I remember that God's there, he's got us, and we're all good.
Right.
So
that's good.
I guess that's all my tips.
Warrior tips right there. Where can the listeners find you online?
Let's see. I don't even know my thing. So my Instagram, Taylor Nicole Fausey. It's at tfausey17. TFAUSEY 17. And then if you want to look at my Poshmark page, I do a lot of reselling my own clothes, and I go and buy thrift store finds and sell those.
And you're going to start doing that more this next year.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do it so much more next year. I did it a lot COVID year. And then 2021, I laid off.
Right.
And now this year, I want to start back again. So my Poshmark, if you're interested, is tfausey17. So same as my Instagram. I also have a Poshmark Instagram where I'm going to be posting like new posts before I actually put them on Poshmark. So you can get like the first grabs at stuff. So if you're interested in that is Instagram at Taze_Posh_page. So Taze Posh page. And yeah, if you're interested in like any of my macrame or my iPad drawings as well, you can message me on my Instagram Posh page as well. And if you want my Venmo, it's tfausey. If you want to throw me some money.
Do you have a YouTube channel
kidding.
or make YouTube videos?
Nope, I do not do YouTube.
Okay. All right.
Pretty much just Instagram. Yeah.
And any other businesses or?
No sites yet. If I get an Etsy, I'll come on and tell you all about it.
Do you want to give any shout outs on here?
I want to shout out to my mom. I know she's gonna listen to this. My best friend Haley. My whole family. Zachary. And
who is Zach?
Zach is my not boyfriend.
Oh, bull. Complete bull. You'll be saying your husband in a few months.
No, I won't. Maybe. We'll see. And yeah, thank you. I guess that's it. I have no more shout outs.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, if you listen to this whole thing, thank you.
I'm sure they'll listen to it because you were quite entertaining and your story was, it's a good story. And that's why I brought you on, because being a warrior, it's a lot, and you definitely know everything it takes to be a warrior. You've been through a ton of stuff.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. You can find me at my Instagram, Fausey14. And my Facebook is just Sean Fausey. You can search me up on there. YouTube, I'm trying to bring that back this year. Like I said, you can just search me up on there, Sean Fausey or Fausey14, or just search 1Warrior Podcast. These podcast episodes are always... Something just fell. These podcast episodes are always uploaded onto the YouTube channel, usually the same day they come public on Spotify. Also, don't forget, if you're on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure and give this a star rating, a 5-star rating, a 4-star rating, whatever you think I deserve. And if you ever have any questions, you can now email this podcast now has an email, onewarriorpodcast@gmail.com. You can also email that if you want to be a guest on this podcast. We are already booked up, already already to the first week of February now, so it's going to be probably second, if you're going to be listening to this and you submit, you're going to be scheduled probably mid to end of February, and we're just going to keep filling up guests like that, and like I said, how you want to do these is up to you. We can do them on over the phone, we can do them on Skype, we can do them on Zoom. I think Zoom's free, right? Zoom is free.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'm not familiar with that very much. But also, if you're local, please come into the studio. I'd be happy to have this discussion with you. If you have something you can bring to this podcast, I'm happy to have you on here. And we'll see you guys next week. Stay strong, and God bless.
Thank you, guys. God bless.